All right, there will be bourbon at the virtual bar tonight. A young man, in my eyes, who I've wanted to have sit in that chair for quite some time. It is a Mr. Terry Schappert. How are you, sir?
That's the first time I've been called young in a long time, and I know you're not being serious, so we're already starting this off on the wrong foot because you're full of shit. But that's okay.
So before Terry tells us all about himself and the things that you guys should know, and he's got a lot of cool shit to talk about. But I want to talk about why. Or look, I can't even speak tonight. See, Terry has made me so flustered. And it's actually the lack of alcohol consumed tonight. But anyway,
you need to get a couple drinks in.
That's what I need to do. So tonight's discussion, as always, will be fueled by some of the finest American spirit. Tonight, I will be going with the Leopold Brothers Bottled and Bond 5-year. Hey, Terry, you're a history guy, right? Kind of know a little bit of history. And look, okay, I was about to say your internet's already freezing. But do you know what Bottled and Bond is? Where it came from?
No.
Okay. So I've said it a little bit on here before, but anyway, the Bottled and Bond Act. So actually, whiskey, bourbon was the first actual product ever in the United States to be regulated by the government, right? So 1897, the Bottled and Bond Act came out, which stipulated that to be called a bourbon and to be authenticated as bottled and bond, it had to be at least 4 years old, right? So this is 5, can be older, at least 4 years old. The product of one distillery distilled during one distilling season, be at least 51% corn, and it has to be stored in a government bonded warehouse.
I did not know that, man.
There you go. It also has to be 100 proof, right? So that's where people used to get the idea of like, oh, if it's bottled and bond, it's it's high quality and all. Because at the time leading up to that, there were so many things being sold as bourbon and whiskey that were really not. That's where the term rot gut came from. People used to get fucked up off this stuff. So but yeah, so that was the first product ever, and it's one of the few good things I think our government's done.
It's funny, man. I don't dislike bourbon. I've just never really been a big bourbon guy,
Well, nobody's.
But it's a very American. It's an American drink, so that's good.
It's America's only native spirit. We invented this shit.
So that's legit. That is legit.
All right, so Terry, while I imbibe in this and you play with grandfather's pen there or whatever it is you got, huffing and puffing on. A little bit about yourself. Who is Terry?
At this point now in my time, it's not the age, it's the mileage. But to quote my buddy Indiana Jones, because we're really tight. So yeah, man, I was, I'm a retired special forces guy. I did, with the active duty and the guard time, I did close to 25 years. I graduated from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington back in 1988. Wow. And I had read, I was going to go to grad school. I was an anthropology major, and I had applied to Duke. They had a great primate program there. Turns out I ended up doing primate stuff anyway in the Army.
You are one, as most people.
Yeah, and I did a lot of archaeology. I did a lot of archaeology too. But I had read a book about the Mac V. Sog in Vietnam, and the black and white pictures of these dudes was really, it was the end of my junior year, and I might have borrowed it from a friend and got home and got high and read it all night, or I might not have. I don't remember, but I was in college, so it's fine. And then I remember reading this book, and those guys are just legends to us, as you know. But it was the black and white pictures of these cats. They got their arms around each other, wearing their tiger stripes. Black guys, white guys, Spanish guys, Montagnards, and some of the pictures were before, like pre-mission, and some of them when they came back, and some guys were not in the picture when they got out of the bush. And I remember thinking to myself, and they were smiling, some of these guys with these big freaking carnivorous white tooth smiles and dirty faces. And I thought, I want to be that guy. Like, I want to be that dude who actually seriously just challenged death and came out on top. It's really the reason I did it. I get it. This is the best country in the world. There's no doubt about it. I've lived in a lot of places and I've been around, but I would lie to you if I told you I did it to serve the country. I ended up serving the country de facto, by by accident. But the reason I did it was because I wanted to see if I could be one of those guys. I wanted to see if I could go through that crucible and be able to stand there with guys like that. So I graduated, did really well in college. And then of course, took a couple months off, lived with my brother up in Vermont. He was up in school there. And I just enlisted. And back then there was no, X-ray program, you could get a guy off the street and train him up, right? 18 X-ray, which is, if people don't know, normally in the past, to be a special forces guy, to be a Green Beret, you had to be in the Army for some time, and then you'd apply, and then you go to selection and do all that. Well, once the war kicked off, we started doing the X-ray thing. It was called 18 X-ray, because our jobs are, every military job has a number and letter designator. So if you're an 11 Bravo, that means you're an infantryman. I was an infantry guy in the 82nd. That's what I signed up for to start my career. And then, the 18 series is the Special Forces series. So 18 Delta, 18D is this Special Forces medic, which is what I was when I went through. But anyway, so I enlisted for the infantry, and I went to the 82nd. And I was in a recon platoon, 3rd of the 05. And dude, it was a busy, cool couple years, because we all went to Ranger School. There was a Recondo course there. We went to Panama. I didn't go to Just Cause, but I was in there in August, going through the jungle training there. I think they're prepping us to do this, but anyway. And then I went to Ranger School right after that. And I got back from Ranger School like December 19th. I came back, and we were pushing out. The guys were pushing out to go to jump into Panama, where we had been a few months before. Yeah. And then the Gulf War too. I did the Gulf War with them, which, as I told you, Eric, because you're welcome for your freedom.
Thank you for my freedom. That's what's allowed.
You're welcome
me to
for your
do
freedom.
what
If I hadn't have gone and done that, you'd be speaking Arabic right now.
Yeah. Maybe I already do. What do you know about that?
Yeah, maybe you do. Maybe you do.
Maybe I do.
So yeah, dude, it was a great place to grow up in the Army, because it was really good training, and it was great guys, and you got your ass whipped, and you learned a lot, right? So then I got back from the Gulf War, and I took like a month off, and all I did was ruck, and we were field rats anyway. That funny story I told you about.
Geez.
Anyway,
it's so apropos.
I'll tell you about that if you want to hear that one. I'll repeat that one again.
Absolutely.
But so yeah, I went to selection, passed selection, went to the Delta course, and I was an SF medic. I was assigned, actually ended up getting lucky. I was in C-110 in Stuttgart. So ich war in Stuttgart für 4,5 Jahre. But I went to the SIF, which was called the SIF at the time, right? Which became the CRIF, which is now not around, but it is around. I don't know what the fuck, but and I wasn't a sniper then, though. I went to Sephardic, which was the assault school. So then I did that till June of 97. And then I'd been in close to 9 years, and I was like, man, I don't know. It was Bill Clinton's Army. I didn't see war on the horizon. And I was like, I kind of done what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I got out, and I moved back to New York City, where I was originally from. And I went to classical theater school for 2 years, like a conservatory program. And I became a working professional actor in Manhattan. And, it was a crazy, man, to pay my bills, because everybody, if you're an actor, you're a waiter or doing some other job. Yeah. I was the velvet rope guy. I was like running security and shit for all these cool clubs. Yeah, I got stories, man. Like, that was a vampire life. So I was out of the Army for 4.5 years, like doing my thing. And I was starting to get momentum.
And you were in New York City.
In Manhattan. I was doing a lot of theater. You get small TV stuff. Like I got a guest thing on a soap, and then I was, I think Law and Order and blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden 9/11 happened. And I actually it's weird, because the night before 9/11, I lived on the Upper West Side. At the time, she was my girlfriend. She became my wife, and we're not married now. But anyway, so me and my girlfriend at the time.
Army love story. I love it.
It's just, and it's all on me. I can't bitch. So I'm the idiot. But so I'm at the Outer Banks right now. This is where I live. I spend my time between here and taking care of my mom in Raleigh. So we drove down the night before 9/11 to the Outer Banks, to the house in Duck, where I am right now. And I remember my mom called me in the morning, and said, you got to turn on the TV. I was like, Ma, I got in at like 6 o'clock this morning. She was turning on the TV. And then I watched the second plane hit, and I was like, well, fuck. Yeah. I remember walking out on the beach with her, and I was like, I got to do something. I mean, I got to find some way to get back in this. And I looked in a couple other avenues too. I'll tell you fun. I ended up joining the 19th group, which I had a company in Rhode Island, A219. So I was with those cats from October 01 to October 2016 when I retired as a team sergeant. So last like almost 5 years I was there as a team sergeant, which is a long time to be a team sergeant, but it's the Guard. They just didn't have guys to
it is what it is. Yeah.
And it was a good run, man. We did a lot of good stuff in the Guard. You know, we were busy, and you can kind of write your own ticket. You know, you do jump on deployments and do different things. Here's a funny story about the government though, because I was thinking, all right, you'll dig this because this is going to make you laugh. So I was thinking to myself, well, how do I get back involved into this anti-terror? You know, I got to help the country. Well, I have a college degree, which I was, you know, with like a 3.8 GPA. I did 9 years in the Army, a lot of it in Special Forces. I speak 2 languages. I don't have a criminal record. Blah, blah, blah. Green Beret medic, da, da, da. So I thought, I'm going to apply to the FBI. The FBI, man.
What? You were almost a Fed?
Yeah. So it was funny, though. As I was doing that, my old team sergeant, 10th group, said, dude, you do not want to fucking join the FBI. They're fucking nerds. They're not like us. And I was like, really? He goes, I've worked with them. You don't want, and I was like, well, let me just try. Long story short, I didn't hear anything from these people, right? There was a dude who I worked with at a nightclub who applied to the air marshals. He had a misdemeanor and he got an interview. I never heard from the air marshals. I wrote to them, never got a human. FBI didn't get in touch with me at all. I finally, after I joined after I'd gone into the Guard, which was the best thing I probably could have done in retrospect, because the FBI is awful. I talked to my friend, and they'll be tracking me now. So I talked to my friend who was who lived next door to like an FBI bigwig in Long Island. I said, could you check on my application? Because I haven't heard from anybody. She goes, I'll ask him. Like a month later, a couple of weeks later, I can't remember. I have it somewhere. I get a form letter from the FBI that says, Mr. Schappert, thank you for your interest in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Please let us know if any of your skill sets change. And that's it. So whose dick do I got to suck? Whose dick do I got to suck to get a cool job in the government? Like, I was like, you got to be kidding. I didn't even get a look. They didn't even call me.
I
like,
thought all you Special Forces guys get all the jobs.
Yeah,
fucking
I thought with
Joe
all
Kent's
my,
about
all
to
my,
be president. I mean, what the
all
fuck?
my wing ding college boy stuff and all my languaging and medicing. And I thought, man, anyway.
Nothing.
Not just crickets. And by the way, and thank God it worked out that way. But so I was in, from almost 16 years in the Guard, and still doing shit in Manhattan, working in the theater and doing TV. And then I ended up getting a big break in 08, 09. I hosted my own show on history called Warriors. Then it just started rolling. Then I hosted Shark Week in 2010. I was on a survival show on Discovery called Dude, You're Screwed. Terrible name. Pretty cool show, actually. I did a bunch of TV in Prague because I can understand German. I can't tell you I speak German, but I kind of understand it. But my language in SF was Czech. So
oh, really? Okay, cool.
Pretty fluent Czech speaker.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of stuff in Prague, and the whole time I'm doing all this TV shit as my civilian job, I'm still rolling and training and deploying with an SF team. And now I retired in 2016. I got divorced. I have no kids, so I'm going to die alone in a VA hospital. And I host it's fine. It's fine, dude. It's fine. Just
you can come down in my house anytime, man. You can come hang out.
You can come there and DC the IV, Eric.
All right, cool. That's good. It's a good deal. Yeah, take that, Nick. Take that, Nick. You don't get to do that.
Yeah, screw you, Nick. And then now I host a show. I just got done filming season 5. Called Hollywood Weapons. It's on the Outdoor Channel. You can see it on Amazon, stuff like that. And it's a really fun show. So that's my story.
Well, thanks for hanging out, and I appreciate your job. No, I can't. so there it is.
This is gonna head south so quickly. Isn't it?
So all right. So before I start asking some of the shit that I know we really want to get into, that guy Louisville Gun on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he sent me a little care package, and it's I'm going to open that up. Well, I already opened it, but he sent this Calamute Farms, which I've never had because I don't know. I've never seen it in a bar, and I try not to buy shit that's like $80 or up without trying it. So here's my opportunity to try it. So, all right. Hey, thanks, Mr. Louisville Gun. I know you don't like your name being shared, so we won't do that.
Yeah, I've actually talked to him. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Let's talk about our Twitter circle.
That's
the reason why I'm talking.
One word for it.
Yeah, Twitter dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
But can I tell you, man, though, like Twitter is, I think I joined Twitter in like right at like 2010, I don't know, 2012 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
2010 was the first time I was on.
Yeah, and I think I was doing I
That's
was
good.
doing some stuff for Discovery, like Shark Week, and I ended up being on Fox on Red Eye, on Greg Gutfeld's show, Red Eye.
Yep.
I became a regular on that. I'm going to be, I think I'm going to go do a Gutfeld show next weekend.
It should
but
be
anyway,
your show, but that's my opinion. Whatever.
Yes, it should be. He owes all his success to me, and I've told him this on TV multiple times.
Well, at least you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. And but what was my point? What were we talking about?
You were going to talk about our Twitter circle.
I told you I was going to forget. I always forget.
Hey, I'm great at reminders for now.
I know. No. You're very like on point. But it's funny because I had a Twitter account. I remember Andy Levy, who was on who was one of the guys on Red Eye. He said, your Twitter thing is awful. I was like, well, I don't use it, man. You know? And then as all this shit started ramping up, I think I started doing more Twitter when I did the Do You're Screwed thing with Discovery, because we were kind of keeping track. I don't like Facebook. I don't have a personal Facebook account. There's a Facebook page for my show, Hollywood Weapons, but I don't do Facebook. I have an Instagram account. I got to get a new phone a couple months ago. I haven't even signed back into Instagram. I don't care.
You're in our fucking group chat on Signal and you don't even know it.
I don't even know. Man. I'm a year away from being a boomer, but I'm a bit boomerish, and so you guys can suck it. But but Twitter has been something really cool in a way. There's a lot of bad people on Twitter. There's a lot of people who want to destroy you.
Oh yeah.
We've had that happen to our group. We've had people come in and try to blow us up. But man, I think and I mean, you and I have never met in the same room, but I feel like I know you, and I feel that way about so many other people. That it's really been a good, and we've been called, all of us, the whatever we used to be called, Goon Twitter. I think we're going to be called Murder Cult going forward.
Yeah, Murder Cult's coming.
Which I'm pretty excited about. Thanks,
with two
Red.
V's, not U's.
No, no U's. It's Murder Cult. Yeah, I can't wait. Red better send me some fucking swag for that.
I'm sure he will.
But it's, and again, a lot of you guys, I know, you're open with your names. Some guys I know that are, they use pseudonyms, and I know who they are. Some guys I don't know who they are. I would walk by, I wouldn't know. I'd walk by them on the street. I wouldn't know who they were. But but I feel like there's a really good support system on our group, and that's kind of right. That's how I feel. Like it's pretty fun to check in.
Demp always, Demp, you're the other combatant commander in your war, the Great Possum War, is Demp. But he
wisely backed down because he wisely backed down. He wisely backed down because he knew that I was going to murder his family if he prosecuted the Possum War. And I just said, I go, dude, I don't want to make you a widow. I don't want to do it. True. Man.
But he always makes the observation that, like, you know what? Jokes aside, or whatever it is we do on this fucking hell site, but if it's 3 a.m. and I have to call someone, or one of them has to call me, we're just going to get in the truck, no questions asked, and we'll go.
Well, funny you say that about Demp. It was a couple days ago. I reached out to him, and it was a real offer. I said, hey, are you okay? Because if you're not, get up to the Outer Banks so you can stay here in my stoner hovel. You're welcome to come. And I said, I mean it. If you need to go, if you need to get out, just bring your boy and your wife and all. And he's like, I think we're good. And I meant that. And he would do the same for me.
Yep. Absolutely.
And there's just a lot of good people on Twitter. And so what I've done, I used to get into arguments with people, especially about politics, because they're snarky and I can't stand the American left because they're everything they built, everything they talk about is based on a lie. But instead of it is. It's bullshit. But
here we go. All right.
But like, so instead of doing that, what I've done is I don't follow people that I don't like. I won't follow. I generally don't interact with people. Like I have people lob shit at me and I just ignore
the easiest way to do it. And you've got way more popularity and visibility than some of us do, obviously, but yeah, it's true. You know what? You don't have to argue with fucking people on the internet. You don't have to.
No, you don't have to. And there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to convince them.
Exactly. There's never been an argument won on the internet. Did you know that?
I mean, like I've had people point stuff out to me. And I'm like, oh, good point. That's okay. Fair point. Like I'm not, my ego's not that big that I would do that. But most of the people on the left are not interested in arguing in good faith. Right. So they're not doing that. They're trying to do a got you thing and say, what about this? You just go into this weird hyper loop that just get out. So I've tried to restrict it. Basically, Larry's back there sleeping.
Yeah, fucking Larry.
So I think most of my best Twitter work comes from posting my various, rescue dogs that I've had over the years. I think they're way more interesting than
And Larry's new to the party, right?
Larry's relatively new. My father, God bless him, my father died in September. So, and I was not living at the beach. Yeah, yes, this past September.
Yeah, that was a rough time. I remember for you.
It was a bad time, dude. Yeah. And I moved in with my parents because I was living at the beach. But I still, thank God, man. These last even 5 years I got out of the Army, I spent a lot of time with my mom and dad, which was, I didn't get to do that before. Either I was in the Army deployed, or I was living in New York. I was married. And these 5 years since 2016-ish, I spent so much time with my mom and dad, and I spent time at the beach. But last year, I basically lived with my parents, and we took care of my dad while he died. And it was a gift. I lost all my jobs, like everything went away because of COVID.
Yep.
Filming was gone. My teaching jobs gone, all gone. And at first, I was like, God, what the fuck? But then as my dad continued to get worse, it was a gift because I got to spend time with him in a way that, some people, man, their loved one goes out the door and dies in a car wreck. They don't get to say goodbye. I was with him and it was painful, man. Like, when you don't really think about the idea that you're going to have to get in the shower with your dad and wash him or wipe his butt or cut his food and feed him. And every waking hour you have to be on top of him. And it was really crushing my mom too. And it was painful. And I do remember my dad, by the way, was anything good I've done in my life, anything I've done where I didn't fuck up, I was successful. I did the right thing. I owe that to my parents and my mother and my father. And any of my mistakes, my myriad mistakes, that's on me because I knew what the right answer was.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If we're
right. I mean, right. If you're raised right,
if we're honest,
if you're raised right, you know when you're wrong. Right. Yeah. I think that's another problem around the country too, because I'll be all over the road unless you stop me. So I think one of the problems in the country is that, we have a constitution that gives you maximum freedom. And it was really designed though for people who are, according to the founders, or like are religious and moral. Yeah. I would just even break that down to, are you raised right? Right. So if you have people in the country that don't understand civil behavior, that's the civil contract, which is just an unwritten way to respect, mutual respect, back and forth.
Social contract, all that good shit.
You have people that are animals. You have people that are just absolutely, completely, just basically sociopaths. The government, it's not going to work because you have to have people who actually have a baseline set of good behavior, and we don't have that anymore. We don't have that, and so that's, I think, a problem.
So. We're talking to Terry Schappert, obviously, on There Will Be Bourbon. There is bourbon going on right now. So, Mr. Louisville Gun, I finally poured I don't even know how to say this word, Calumet Farms, but it's actually really fucking delicious. I'm surprised. I may have to go and buy a bottle. So
how
now,
absolutely gay? How absolutely gay am I? Gay meaning Ghey.
Ghey, yes.
Ghey is just to clarify for
Braxton
our friends.
Spells it, yeah.
Yes, Braxton says, and also not to offend Tiago, our gay czar.
Yeah, the gay czar, Gay, gay.
That's Gay,
like legit gay, but yes,
legit gay. Yeah,
very gay,
like full on homo.
Like
and by the way, a lovely human being. We love him.
Great man.
He's such a cool. And by the way, you're drinking bourbon, and I'm drinking sugar-free lemonade. So who's the loser? This guy, right?
How the fuck? That's by definition not lemonade. Lemonade requires.
It's not. There's real lemon juice in it, though, Eric. It's just
that's lemon juice, then, not lemonade. All right, so there you
go. Listen. We can
wait, how gay are you? What do you
all
mean?
Day.
Is that what you meant? Like, how gay are you that you're drinking sugar-free?
Well, how
lemonade?
lame is it that you're sitting there hitting the bourbon? I'm drinking, sugar-free lemonade.
Hey, and you know what else? Before we get there, another treat from Mr. Louisville Gun is this Buffalo Trace bourbon cream, which I've had at the distillery. He also sent this, also delicious. That'll be later for sure. But anyway, all right. So now we know who Terry is. We know all the stuff he's done. He's a very well accomplished soldier and thespian. I think that's what we'll. I would like to.
I feel like you were mocking me with that word.
Why would I mock you?
I don't know. Maybe I'm self-conscious. Maybe I'm insecure.
Are you Sagittarius?
I am.
So am I. And that's one of our traits. We're very self-conscious and insecure. So
I didn't know that. Well, that makes sense. When's your birthday?
December 17.
Mine's December 4th. God damn.
The 4th. Oh, so you and Mr. Jay-Z share a birthday. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
You both are very well versed in your lyrical acumen, I'm sure. Whatever. That would have been a great.
I have been known to spit rhymes.
Oh, you've got bars.
Yes, I do.
All right.
No, I don't.
No, you don't have any bars. All right. Anyway, all right. So look, so you know who Terry is, right? He's not just some dude that's going to just spout off uninformed or just a product of ideology or any of that shit. All right. So obviously, someone who, before he even entered the army, was pretty well read. Actually went to school. Still decided to choose the path of the military. What year did you join? Was it 88?
88, man.
Okay.
October 88.
So, fuck. Because I kind of want to know what. I know it was. You had no idea, you had no desire to serve the country. You wanted to be those Green Berets that you saw, but it was 88. So just what was going on in the world?
Yes. No. It was, I mean, look, dude, it was a kind of
that's the end of Reagan, right?
It was the end of Reagan, right?
Yeah.
So, Reagan, that was the last year of Ronald Reagan. And my father was conservative. My mom was conservative just kind of by default. She's not particularly political, but my dad is, one of these hardworking conservative kind of guys, very patriotic. I just wasn't particularly, I was in college and I played, I was a football player too. UNCW had a really small football team then. And I played since fifth grade. So I was an athlete. Yeah. I was in a fraternity. I was president of my fraternity, SAE.
Oh, so you bought your friends. That's cool.
That's not cool because in UNCW, the fraternities were the weirdos. Like it was not a fraternity.
So my baseball coach in college said he told us we're not allowed to join fraternities because we don't pay for our friends.
Well, your college
anyway. All right, go ahead.
Your coach can go fuck himself, but I understand that's a typical thing. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of cool guys.
I believe it. Yeah.
It was.
You still had to pay for it.
Yeah. Thanks. So anyway, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. So, but 88 was like, it was kind of still, that was kind of the good times in America. It was kind of like TV and music. MTV was still MTV, and lots of good cocaine was floating around. And there was like, we'd come through, the 70s were an absolute mess. Like we had the energy crisis with Carter, we had the Iran, and then here comes Reagan, comes in and just like, he just kind of starts really, really doing well. And I just, I don't know, man, it wasn't a wartime at all, right? It wasn't like, in 1988, there was no, at least to my sort of unslick college mind, that I didn't see some conflict coming down the road that I had to get in on. The guys, I mean, I also give a lot of credit to the cats who, who joined, young guys who joined after 9/11. I mean, I came back in after 9/11. I've been out for 4.5 years. Dude, I didn't shoot a gun for 4.5 years. I got out in like June of 97.
That's fucking
and October of 01, I'm back in the Army, And so the only thing I did do was I did stay in shape. I trained a lot. I did a lot of like Muay Thai, and I never got fat. I just was always kind of, staying.
Was it easy for you to come back in, or did you get a fucking?
It was so easy. Like that's in retrospect, I'm not sure how that worked because I left as an E6. I was about to go to ANOC, which is the advanced, non-commissioned officer.
It's SLC now, but ANOC.
Right. So and I just they had the slot for me, and that's when I went and I walked into the sergeant major's office and said, "Hey, Sergeant Major, I can't take that slot because I'm going to get out." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "No hard feelings. I love this unit and I love what I'm doing, but I got some other things I want to do." And they he tried to convince me for about 5 minutes, and I was like, "No," but it was cool. So I mean, it was not, in the 80s, it didn't feel like it was a wartime, I mean, we had the Beirut bombing and.
But the Cold War and all that shit, like we had
Cold War was still going on.
Yeah,
it was still Soviets. People forget that. I mean, when I joined the Army in '88, we were as infantry guys. Our whole thing was like, got to fight the commies, and all the mech guys were dealing with, having to go to Germany and fill the gap when the Reds came through. So it was a different time that we did have a looming enemy in the Soviets, right, and those countries,
but. In 1991 or 90, right?
Came down.
Yeah.
Came
Yeah.
down.
So yeah, what the hell was that fucking transition like? Like, hey, go hang out in the desert and get ready to save my freedom for me.
Yeah, and then the Gulf, and here's a funny.
Did that come
story
out
about
of nowhere, or were you guys like training for
It was
it?
kind of out of nowhere because we'd actually been training. We were on DRF-1, which in the 82nd means like all your shit's packed at Green Ramp, basically.
So the guys that just showed up to Kabul basically is what you were doing, right? Just
exactly.
now.
Like
Okay.
you're the package that goes.
Yeah.
You're the package
Right.
that's supposed to get anywhere in the world within 24 hours. And so we happened to be on DRF-1, and I remember we were at Bennigan's, dude. Bennigan's in
Yeah,
Fayetteville,
that fucking
on
place
Yadkin Road.
The
A bunch of
the
Joes.
Monte Cristo sandwich was my jam. God, I love
I
that
worked
place.
at I was a
What?
Bennigan's waiter in college. Yes.
And they're all closed now. Doesn't that suck? Fuck,
End of an era,
Bennigan's.
Eric. End of
I
an era.
loved Bennigan's. That was okay. Anyway,
But next thing you know, we're like, we got to come back, and then we're leaving. And I got sick. I had some kind of weird flu. I was hooked up to an IV on the bird going into Germany. I was like, I felt so gross, so sick. Yeah.
Did you have COVID?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think it was around then. I think it was some other awful virus coming.
You had
around.
COVID-90. Is that what it was?
This is COVID-19. This is COVID-1.
COVID-1. Okay.
COVID-1. Again, groundbreaker.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Patience.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. I took that for the team. But here's a funny thing. I've never, I've up until that point, as far as going anywhere foreign, I'd gone to Puerto Rico because we did this ocean venture, and I'd gone to Panama, right? So I'd never been to the Middle East at all. And I remember, man, we were I was a C110. Was it 110? Is that 110? C110, the old jet ones. C110.
130.
Right? Is that the C110?
I just know as a C-130, they've got jets, but you do.
No, C-130 are the prop planes. It's a C. There was one that looked like a C-130, but it had jets. God damn, I can't remember the name of it. That's
all I know is the other is the C-17. I don't know, whatever.
Anyway, we had come in.
You've probably been on more planes than mine. So.
I have. I've jumped out of a lot of really, really rickety shit too. But so I remember landing. That's gonna bug me that I don't remember the name of that plane. But anyway, I remember flying over it as we're coming down. We were going to Saudi Arabia. All I looked down through the little window, I could just see rolling dunes. I was like, what the fuck, man? I'd never seen anything like this. Uh-huh. And then boom, you land.
So like The English Patient, that movie, right?
Yeah, which by the way, a great movie. So
I just got forced to watch it 2 weekends ago.
You didn't like it?
It's about 2 hours too fucking long.
It's long. It's long.
But it was good. It was a good movie. But anyway,
it's good.
Rolling dudes, got it. Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes is fantastic. So
yeah, he is. He was fucking pretty good.
So the plane lands, here's a bunch of these Joes with our rucks and all this shit, right? Just, it's an awful fucking trip. And then the plane turns at the end of the ramp, and as it's come down, the ramp goes down. Whee! I hate that.
That's an actual sound right there. That's
the sound you always hear when you're getting ready to jump. And I actually hate that noise. But the ramp goes down, and all of a sudden this super hot, dry wind just comes rolling into the plane and just sucked the moisture out of your eyeballs. And I remember picking up the ruck, and I was with Steve Deaton, and we're walking off the thing. I go, dude, we're not in the US. And he goes, no, we're not. And it was like, we were there for like 9 months, man.
Yeah. That's like landing in fucking Kuwait or Qatar in the summer. Same shit.
I'd never been in a place like that, like the smells of it. Yep. The sights of it, and by the way, that part of the world has probably the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen, but
and the sunrise, and the moon when you can get around it, see some full moon action.
Yeah. There's, people talk shit about the Middle East.
I love it. I really do.
I don't dislike it at all, man. And I also think this too. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I think that the Arab culture, while it has some certain weaknesses in it too, but one of the strengths of the Arab culture, I think, is the generosity. I feel like, right? They will. Yeah. These people will just give. If you enter their home, they're gonna go kill a chicken and cook it.
Yeah, they go out of their way.
They go out of their way, and I think that is a desert culture thing, because again, it's like the Bedouin and
Bedouin.
Because to think about it, being generous is a survival strategy, because you may need that help. You may be lost, or you may be out of water. You may be having a hard time, and that person who sees you is going to help you out. I felt like I dealt with that when I was in Alaska filming the show. Like we were driving somewhere and the wheel came off of this truck we were in. We were in the middle of Denali. Like what? Like, dude, we're gonna die. Not die, but it was like pretty bad. And this dude comes by. This old white guy comes by with his Indian wife. You know, is like you know, and he comes. He just doesn't know us, man. He pulls up. He goes, "You boys, you guys okay?" You know. And like, well, and he goes, well, I'm gonna get in the truck. I'm gonna take you back to where you started from. And he doesn't know me from anybody. So it's like, I think that's an old school culture. And you know, my grandma was that way from Ireland. Like if you come into her house, you're gonna eat. She's gonna feed you.
Yeah,
she's gonna feed you. I think there's good things. There's good things about that culture. There's good things about all cultures, really. But I mean,
oh well, yeah. And so to touch on what you just said about the guy in Alaska, as the fucking Giants just pissed me off already.
You gotta let go of them, dude. You gotta let go of them.
They're in first place. Never mind. Anyway,
who cares?
No, I think like we've shifted away from that because it's almost so weird that we're so connected as a society now through social media and internet and all. But there is no part of me that would pick up a fucking stranger on the side of the road in 2021. You know what I mean? Like
something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And why is that? Why is that?
You're so right. That's a really good point. That's a profound observation. Something's changed.
Yeah. And that's here. And I wouldn't, it's not just California. It's Tennessee where my family is. It's Florida where my family is. It's everywhere. It's not, it's just a product of, unfortunately, our society that, you know, there are still pockets of this country where they sleep with their cars unlocked and their fucking doors unlocked on their house and all that shit. I would never do that here. Never.
Yeah.
Never do it.
You wouldn't.
No.
I also, wow, it's a really very, very, that's a profound observation. And something else you said kind of clues at that. We're all connected like in an insane amount of ways now electronically with the digital world, right? Yet I feel like as people, we tend to be almost more estranged from each other. I just feels to me there's an isolating effect of this kind of technology that you can be in your own world. And, you know, you don't really have to interact with you could email, you can electronically mail them.
Electronic mail right there.
Yeah, by the way, for your audience, I just let Eric know today that email stands for electronic mail.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. I had no idea. That's fucking nuts. That is.
But yeah,
did you know like DM is a direct message? Did you know that?
No, I thought it was Dungeon Master.
No, it's not Dungeon Master. It is.
By the way, it is Dungeon Master, just so you know.
It is also Dungeon Master. Yeah, we never fucking played the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we have. There's so many things we got to do, but I'm kind of slack, dude. Like when I'm not working, like I'm one of those dudes. I don't know about you, man, and maybe it's an old age thing now. I don't think I was this way, but I'm this way now. When I'm working, like I'm go. Like when I'm filming, dude, it's nonstop, and I'm like tired, but it's like busy. If I'm teaching, like I in a couple of weeks, I go down to Robin Sage. I'm teaching down there. Boom, 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 boom. But when I come out to the beach, nobody can waste time better than me. Like days will go by. I'll get fucking nothing. I have so much I have to do around the house. Haven't done it. I just lay around with the dog. I talk to the dog. I get up. I walk the dog. I just go lay out in the sun. Maybe I'll go work out.
It's the beach. I think it's the beach that's doing that to you. It's making you softer.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. You've already lived a hard life, right? You've done some hard shit.
Well, that's what I joke around with my girlfriend too. I'm like,
you got a babe?
Yeah. I have a really great girlfriend, man. We've been together for like 5 years, man. She's,
sweet.
You know, she's from down here. So yeah, it's funny because I piss her off because I'm like, I just fuck with her. I'm like, you know, it's too bad, Chris, that, it's too bad I met you when I'm pretty close to dying because I go, you're actually you're like the nicest gal I've really ever met. And it's too late. It's kind of too late. You know, like I didn't got a lot left.
I'm on my way out.
I'm kind of dried up, you know, like everything kind of hurts. I just kind of not that motivated to like do anything. And it's like, you know, yet I met the nicest girl I've ever met, but she hates when I say that shit.
Well, that's good. Well, I mean, you're honest. Again, you're honest.
I'm honest. By the way, we didn't talk about Larry. Let me tell you about Larry.
Tell me about Larry, because then we're going to really open this fucking can.
Yeah, because Larry, I rescue, I'm involved with, I only adopt senior dogs or like, you know, like sick dogs, like cancer dogs. And people are like, oh, you're so sweet. No, it is not altruistic. I do this because I can fucking outrun them. They can't outrun me, dude. They can't. I mean, like, seriously. I had this old cancer dog. This dog ain't gonna get away from me. I can just let her out of it. I can just let her go. I'll catch her. Although Larry, I will say, because he's a lab bloodhound mix, he's taken off a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, man, I sure hope he comes back, and he does. But like, yeah, I always, I try to adopt old dogs, and I foster. We had a foster here for a while. Went to one of my good buddies on Twitter. He's live tracks. He's crazy. He's such a fucking great guy. I haven't seen him on Twitter for a while, but he's just a great dude. He lives in North Carolina. But yeah, so dogs. I'm into dogs because I just like them. I've always, it's not. I don't anthropomorphize them. Like, oh, I don't put weird sweaters on them and shit like that. But they're my friends. They're my friends. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about. I also teach diving for Task Force Dagger, which is a SOCOM. It's a charity. It's with SOCOM. We do a lot of shit. Like, we get guys at the Cleveland Clinic. We'll buy tickets for the family because, the government's got some weird thing. Well, you're this distance away. We can't find. Yeah, fuck you. We'll get you the tickets to go. Yeah, I mean, serious, dude. And so immediate needs, things like that. With immediate needs, we do all this other kind of stuff for sort of cutting edge therapies for guys for cancer and TBI and everything. But we also do this thing every year in Key West called Dagger Dive, where we bring families in, the guy, his wife, his children, because we figure if the guy's broken in any way, his family's probably broken. So you can take you take a married soldier on an elk hunt, that's cool, that's really good, or something like that. But his wife and his kid need some help. So like, we bring them into Key West, and all these donors, man, they stay at a hotel for free. It's an awesome place. The combat dive, the dive school lets us use their pool to do pool stuff with them. So if the guy, we teach the guy, a lot of the guys already know how to dive because they're soft guys, but like his wife, any kids of his that want to dive, any kids that don't want to dive or too young, there's organized shit for them the whole week. So like the couple just really gets to focus on themselves. And at the end of that time, they're certified and they do it as a family. So, but something that's grown out of that, which I'm really been crazy how stuff closes the loop. So a few years ago, we started doing stuff jointly with East Carolina's maritime archaeology program. So here I go, going back to archaeology. So I started off as an archaeology guy, put all that down. And so we have gone to Saipan a couple years in a row, and we found a Hellcat wreck that was shot down 75 years ago, was underwater.
Oh shit.
And we've been excavating it. We've been excavating that. And the goal is we brought some of the wounded guys that we taught over there. And, some of those guys are now becoming dive instructors. They've had a whole new lease on life, but the goal is to bring back those remains using wounded special operations guys. And so the last day, that we were there we couldn't go last year. We couldn't go this year because of COVID. So it's been like, getting on 2 years. Man, we found the seat of the aircraft buried in the sand. So we found this, and it was funny. My buddy, who's a retired Delta guy, we were dive buddies, and we just happened, because we're splashing on these targets, because the ECU had been there and used the side scan sonar and the magnetometer all in that bay. It's really shallow water till it drops off into the abyss. And people don't realize that this battle for Saipan was an incredibly huge, important battle, right? The Japs threw everything at us because they knew if we took Saipan, we would have a launching platform. Yeah. And but by the way, that's where we launched Tinian, which is right across the way from Saipan. That's where we launched the atomic bomb from. So they gave us everything they had. And but Mark and I were dropping, yeah. And you know what? Fuck it, we'll do it again.
Will we?
No. Yeah, that's okay. You're right. We will.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So, and Mark and I, so we have to splash on these targets because sometimes it might be a pile of junk. It could be whatever. We were dropping down. I'm looking at the bottom. I tapped him and I went like, look at that. There was a 50 cal machine gun underwater. Oh, so I was like, holy shit. And then then cover by crawl, you can see a piece of an engine cowling and it's crazy. So we're like, holy shit, we found a wreck. Long story short, there was a guy. We got in touch with DPAA, the remains people in Hawaii. They're like, yeah, we lost a guy there. So we're going to bring him back using wounded guys. Imagine going to their doorstep and going, hey, here's your great grandfather who was shot down.
Oh shit, that's fucking awesome. So that brings me to this question, because before I forget it, because I want to really get your take on a lot of other shit. But have you seen that movie Greyhound with Tom Hanks?
No, I heard it was good.
So that it ties into what you're saying. Like I cannot fucking imagine how much shit is under the water just in the Atlantic. Never mind the Pacific.
Dude, so much stuff got sunk over all the course of history.
Yeah, like so that movie obviously is about the largest battle in the Atlantic or whatever at the time, but it just talks about it's not like, oh yeah, we lost a few hundred ships during war. No, tens of fucking thousands.
The wolf pack, the German wolf pack, the subs were just,
that's in that movie, man.
They were just destroying everybody. And the only reason we got them, by the way, so Admiral Dunitz was the guy who created the wolf pack and the way of hunting with these submarines to just
he was using psyops through the radios and shit.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The only reason we got those guys is we cracked their code. Once we had that, then we knew where they were, and then it was over for them. Then and it was a great. I had a U-boat phase for a while. I was constantly reading books about U-boats. Like there's a great book called Iron Coffins, written by a German guy who survived it. There's a bunch of There's a U-boat commander. Like I found that part of the war fascinating. But you're right,
nuts.
There's tons of wrecks, and there's wrecks there's U-boat wrecks off the coast of North Carolina.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like.
Yeah,
there's thousands, like there's so much shit we'll never
so
find.
Much stuff got sunk.
So
many people died. So many people died.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing they talk about is like the amount of deaths lost out, like 96,000.
Unbelievable. And that's a shitty dude.
That's a fucked up way to fucking die, man.
That's a terrible way to end it. Yeah, for sure.
God, it's just So all right. So we talk about that shit all day. Hey Frank, what's up? So you talk about dogs. I'm into cats at this moment, man.
I like cats. Cats are cool, man.
Yeah, we just saved this little guy on June 30th. His name's Frankie. He's a tuxedo. Well, his name was Francois, and I was like, we're not gonna have a fucking French cat. His name's Frank.
You could call him Francois.
Nah, it's fucking. It's been changed to Francis, and it's now Frank. All right. So
Francis is better.
Yeah, my dad's middle name and my grandfather's name on my dad's side was Francis. So he's Francis.
That's my confirmation name, so that's a good name.
Yeah, he's not fucking Francois. He's Frank, but he's the sweetest little thing in the world. We rescued him from the clink. You know, I like to bail out animals, so that's what we did. Well, he's down here.
Cats
right
are
now.
Funny. The thing is with cats, I never grew up with cats because my mom grew up
I didn't
in
either.
Harlem.
Yeah,
my mom grew up in Harlem, so for her, cats are like these feral, crazy animals. Same with dogs. She was afraid of dogs, and then she became the biggest dog person. But like, until I lived with someone who had a cat, I was like, cat, take him or leave him. And then
cats are fucking cool.
Cats are, well, here's the thing with cats, and this is what the anti-cat people, if you're a pro-dog person but you hate cats, you're doing the wrong thing. What you have to do is you can't look at a cat in terms of a dog. Like they're not the same animal. So they think differently, their biology is different. Like you just have to, if you look at a cat and say, well, he ain't like my dog, well, then they're going to let you down. But if you look at a cat as what a cat is, then I think they're wildly entertaining. And it's funny because you think cats, if cats were like, if your house cat, if that Frank right there, Francis grew like 150 pounds, he would fucking murder you.
Oh, God. He'd probably do it right now if I let him. You know what I mean?
He would murder you. Like they're killers, dude. Like they're just waiting for you to turn their back. They're like this.
Yeah. This is it. I got him. I got that.
It's a little bit bigger. I'm getting on the back of that neck and breaking that vertebrae. And then dragging them up into a tree and eating them.
That's so true. That's great. I gotta tell Maddie that shit when we're done.
They'll kill you. Cats will kill. A cat will kill you if he could.
Yep. And he won't care. He won't even care. He's like,
they love to kill shit. They're born to kill. They're
what they're doing. They're fucking killers. Dogs, on the other hand, they're just like, oh man, what do you want to do today, human?
Dogs are like, hey, we're on the same team, right, chap? Like,
yeah. Right?
Cats are like, fuck you, man.
Fuck yeah.
I was a little bit bigger. I'd freaking
the way they show their love though is it's always on their terms, which I like. I kind of like. It's kind of
no, they're cool. They're cool animals. They are cool.
All right, man. So we've watched some, and I got to frame all this stuff very carefully on my end at this point. But we've watched some. You know, the culmination, I guess, was the speech today from the president. But we've watched some shit take fold over the last 2 weeks from a guy like yourself who's got the background that you've who's done the things you've done, who's been in the places you've been. What is your overall take of just the last 2 weeks in Afghanistan? But
I think what you see in Afghanistan is a bigger window into what's happening. And I do think in a way you are seeing the decline of American empire. I do think that, and I don't mean to be grim about it, but I think that doesn't mean it can't change into something else or be reborn or do something else. But currently what we were that's not what we are anymore. And you've now seen you're seeing the culmination of literally decades of educational and political indoctrination, so that you have half the country that kind of despises the country, isn't really a big fan of it, and has been told, and they bought the lie that we're a terrible, awful, racist country. And, you know, if you're white, you have to feel guilty about being white. If you're successful, you got to feel guilty about being successful. If you're a black person and you're not on the left, you're a white supremacist. And it's like, decades of this. So you now have, this is what happens when you have foreign policy being dictated by Wesleyan grads who have poli-sci degrees, or they go to George Washington or like Georgetown, or they go to the Kennedy School, and they write these white papers that are taken up by politicians, and that's dictating policy right now. And I worked with State Department people in my capacity as an SF guy, doing JSETs, especially. JSET is where we go over and train foreign militaries and stuff like that. It's joint combined exercise for training, and I there was good State Department people, but I will say they tend to run pretty liberal. And I always felt like they kind of looked at us like the knuckle draggers that they just had to tolerate. They liked what we gave them. They liked the SF product, but I feel like they always sort of felt like they knew better. They knew more. And I think these are just not serious people. They're not serious people. They deal in the world of what they wish it would be, not what it is.
Academia,
and that's another
sheltered by,
too.
I call it installation of Western security, shielded by academia.
That's right. That's right. And I remember I was talking to Nick Guy on his podcast, like, forever ago. I remember saying this. Here's the thing about the left, which is the problem with them. And we were talking about this in the Army. So if you're in the Army, again, I'm talking about the combat military. The rest of the military, I'm gonna again say it, it's a job. It's a job. It's mostly a job. You're probably not going to get stitched up. You might be inconvenienced here and there, but in general, you did not sign. That's the difference. We have the kind of military by design. I want to talk about this too, is why people don't understand what's going on. Because for most people, this entire 20-year conflict has been pretty much a news story. Right.
And this is the quote I used to talk about how I couldn't wait to talk to you, because you're right. 20 years, and you go down the side of the street and you ask someone to name anybody who's died in the global war on terror, and they probably can't name it. And it's not a bad thing, but it's important.
But it's something to note, because it actually means something's going on with the country, right? It means that there's a certain system that is doing this thing.
And before you go on, Terry, the president, I noticed today, said if you're 20 years old, you don't know a country that's not been at war. And that just blew my fucking mind. I'm like, are you someone wrote that? Someone wrote that. Somebody wrote that.
Yep. That got in there.
Come on.
That got in there. So we have, and people are imperfect. We are flawed. So thus any human institution will be flawed, including like the Catholic Church, which I'm a member of. It's like, it's run by humans. So that means it's going to go off the rails and get fucked up. So like, I think that, we don't see what's happening is really just, what's happened in Afghanistan for these 20 years, and especially in this kind of last culmination of what happened right now, and it was so bad. It's just we are really lost our way. We don't really, and I'm not saying that from a position of superiority, but I'm telling you, like when I was talking to Nick, I said, here's the funny thing about, we were laughing about the woke military people who come out and then they become these left-wing firebrands, and I'm like, listen, dude, I get it, but here's what I would say to you. You may have been left-wing again, regular the sit behind a desk military. I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking about the combat guys, combat arms, right? You pogues, no, but like the people who actually do the fucking killing and shit. Like, you may have been a left-wing person before you came in. You may have been a left-wing person while you were in the military, or you may have become one when you got out. But here's what you can't look me in the eye and tell me: that left-wing principles are used to affect in the combat military. There's no such, because combat is the ultimate reality, right? We can agree on that is a real harsh reality. There's no, you can't color it, you can't filter it, you can't, it is what it's right in front of you, dude. And it's like literally life and death. So if combat is the ultimate reality and left-wing principles do not work in combat, therefore left-wing principles are not grounded in reality. They're grounded in an artificial construct that, like kind of what you were saying too, you know, you kind of like, you're in a hive, you're kind of covered, you have all these constructs in front of you that you're able to kind of live in, like the academic world, which is completely not based in reality. But in the real world, there's wolves and there's teeth and there's sharp edges, and they come at you really fast. And I think what's happened now is, you know, this is by design too. I mean, the left loves this because
do you think
they
so?
want, they do, because this is, what is this doing right now? It's making Americans so mad at other Americans. It's made some Americans, you can't talk to, like, you know, if you say something about, hey guys, are you happy with the way Biden did this? They'll just say, but Trump. Okay. Or like I have a member of my family who's a left-wing person, and we have gotten into some very strong arguments. I still love them because they're my family member. But I said to him, I said, hey dude, I go, tell me you're cool with the idea. Whether I get it, you don't like Trump. Got it. Cool. No problem. Right. But are you cool with the idea that the FBI broke the fucking law to take him down? Because they did. They filed illegal FISA warrants to take, they bragged about it. Comey bragged about it. Are you cool with that? And he was kind of like, whoa. So you are telling me
it's what team are you on? What team are you on? You're not on the team of the United States anymore. You're on your own personal team. You're on your own personal facts.
Well, because now we're not. Someone said this on the internet the other day. I can't give credit because I can't remember who it was, so I'm not taking credit for it. But somebody said,
if it's good, I'll take credit for it.
Eric said, and I quote, Eric said, "We're not a country of laws anymore. We're a country of political will." And I was like,
I didn't say that. That wasn't me.
That's fucking, yeah, I knew you didn't. So, but I was willing to give it to you. But if you don't want to take it, don't take it. But that's what I'm saying. So, like, are you cool with? I told him. I said, are you cool with the idea that the IRS can go after people that weren't cool with Obama? Yeah, like, right. Are you cool with the CIA?
People forget it goes both ways at some point.
See, generally the right hasn't done that as far because wow, they got to play by the rules. Well, you're talking to people that aren't playing rules, but you're right. I mean, I think the right used to be here's the funny thing about the left. The left used to rail in the street against the man. Fuck the man. Don't trust the man. Don't trust the government. Don't trust the CIA.
True.
Don't trust the FBI. And guess what? Now the left is the man.
Look at Rage Against the Machine. Rage Against the Machine is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine. All of us 25 years ago were like, fuck you, don't do what you tell me. Those motherfuckers do everything they tell you to do. And they tweet about it and brag about the fact that they are.
They brag about it, right? Like instead of saying "fuck you," I won't do what you tell me. They should be saying "yes, sir."
Actually, I will though, because you know what? I got older and I got rich, so now I will do what you tell me.
They're like. I mean, like, you know, one good thing about the Trump presidency, and listen, I remember saying this when I was on Fox before he was elected. First of all, I called him winning.
Did you?
On the Gutfeld show.
Because I only knew one. Did you know AJ Delgado? Do you know her?
I know who she is. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to. We were friends at once. Like
she kind of fell out of that whole, right?
Well, yeah, that has to do with the whole Jason Miller thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That I got fucking shitbag. Anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she was the only one of our circle who was like, yeah, Trump train. And I'm like, you, the most fucking conservative chick I've ever met in my life, is all about Trump. Because I was in Florida at the time, and I always loved Rubio. Like, he's just who I grew up liking.
Yeah, I wanted one of the Cubans. I wanted him or Cruz.
And then I remember I don't know if you know him or interact with him, but Ruben Sanchez, RD Sanchez.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
he's great.
So Ruben was a big I think he was a Ted Cruz guy at the time. Anyway, so that was the three of us. We have this picture of us at Ball and Chain down in Miami when the primary was going on, and it was just like 3 fucking Republicans walking to a ball or whatever, and we all support someone different. But yeah, she was the only one that I was like, Trump, are you fucking kidding me? Because it is all right. I got to remove myself. But yeah, so you were talking about, you were calling it for, you thought Trump
I went on the Gutfeld show about a month before the election. And I was, you know, it was funny, man. Like I'm an idiot, and I'm not that smart, and I'm not, you know, I'm not politically connected or anything, but I live in North Carolina, and I train with guys, you know, normal dudes, cops, all around North Carolina. And I was actually doing stuff out west. I was filming in Arizona, even in California, like in Ventura County, where guns were cool because, you know, there's horses and guns there.
Yeah.
And I
a lot
saw
of horses in this state.
Yeah. And and by the way, it's not California is such I'm so bummed for them because it's the most amazing
beautiful
place
I've ever been, man.
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
Yep.
I love where I am now. I love the ocean's right there. Like I walk out, the ocean's right there. So I can't really complain.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Until hurricanes come, then I'm gonna bitch.
That is fucking sucks.
but like I remember the primary, and you know, and I look, I know Trump is a thin-skinned, ego-driven, ruthless business guy, right? I mean, he's a dick. But I remember seeing all this enthusiasm for him.
Yeah.
Because people were tired of the shit. They're like, we want a different thing. And I just was like, he's got a shot, man. And I voted for him. I happily voted for him. I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton literally if you cut my dick off, but I
am with you on that, my friend.
I wouldn't.
I'd
give you my small penis. Take it. I don't want it. It really doesn't do much for me anyway. Take it. But I remember thinking he was going to win.
We're taking it. Anyway,
I'm gonna take that motherfucker. I'm gonna give it to Francis. So
Francis, come here, buddy.
Francis, I got a mission for you. He's like, yeah. He's like this, sharpening his claws. Like, yeah, I got it.
Excellent.
That guy. I remember though, and I was on the Gutfeld show, and he's like, "All right, Terry, predictions," and I was like, "Trump's gonna win." And Gutfeld looked at me like I had a dick growing out of my forehead.
Who did he think?
And I don't know. He didn't think that. It was by that time it was him and Hillary, right? So he just didn't think Trump was going to win.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because
And I remember fast forward to the election night, and Dad had gone to bed, and I was watching it with Mom, and I was flipping through the channels.
Such a great night out here, bro. I'll tell you it once you're done.
Oh, I want to hear. I want to hear about it.
Oh yeah, I got this.
So it was quiet. I was just sitting there with my mom. Dad had gone to bed, and I was flipping the channels between Fox and CNN and MSNBC. And at some point, you started seeing the meltdown when states started coming in. And I looked at Mom about 11. I forget what time it was. I looked at Mom. I said, he's going to fucking do this. So I texted Gutfeld. I go, I told you. And Gutfeld, I hit send. And within like literally 5 seconds, he goes, you're coming on this Friday. So like, he's like, you're coming on this Friday. So he brings me up for the show, and he opens with his monologue, and he goes, okay, Terry, go ahead and gloat, you know? And I was like, I'm not going to gloat, dude. I'm not going to gloat for catching something that you didn't see coming, Greg. But I said, I'm telling you, man, I just don't live, you know, you live in the New York kind of media bubble. You're surrounded by people who thought this was going to be. I live out in redneck land. I'm telling you, man, people had it. People were tired. Whether you like Trump or not, you might want to pay attention to why he won. And one of the reasons he won was that people were tired of being called racist, bigoted, knuckle-dragging assholes by people who knew nothing about them, who never spent a day in their life, who never spent it. And yet we keep being told, you got to take that. That's who you are. Yeah. F you. This is what you do. And by the way, take Hillary Clinton and so people are like, you know, there was still the coastal elitism in this
country is a very real thing.
What's that?
Coastal elitism in this country is a very real thing.
And it's metastasizing too. And here's the other thing. I got in trouble for saying this. I want to hear about election night in California.
Yeah.
But I got some people on Twitter, you know, some woke vets coming after me because I said something like, I go, the people fleeing the Democrat liberal states are mercenary, are smart enough and mercenary enough to realize that their way of life is not commensurate with what they're paying. Like the quality of life is not commensurate with what they're paying, but they're not self-aware or humble enough to actually change their politics. And so they bring those same politics to Arizona. What I'm saying is they're smart enough to realize I'm not getting a lot of money. I'm not getting my money's worth living here. But so they'll move somewhere else. So they get that part. They get the money piece. Like this place sucks. I don't want to step over fucking syringe people. I don't want to I don't want to live like this.
I get this.
I'm paying. So they're smart enough to do that, but they're not humble enough or self-aware enough to do some examination and go, well, why did your place that you flee get that way? So instead they import those politics to like Arizona, or by the way, we have a lot of it in North Carolina.
Bro.
And so it's like, it's everywhere. And so that's the thing. So what happened on
well,
California?
Hold on. Before that, going to what you're saying, Terry, I've been saying this. I literally argue with Brink about this shit because he's in Florida now. And I left Florida to come out here, but my fucking parents were my parents are like, I'm born in New Jersey. We're from the Northeast. My parents were
Right.
like at the tip of the spear of that fucking Northeast exodus in the 80s down to Florida. Right.
Right.
And what did all those motherfuckers do when they got to Florida? Exactly what you just said. They start voting blue. All the reasons they left New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, all those fucking reasons they go down to Florida. When we moved to Florida, now the state legislature is still very red, but when we moved to Florida, that was a red state. That state's fucking virtually purple at this point.
Yeah,
it has been for the last 8 years.
It's not reliably red anymore.
Yeah, and I sit here and I'm cracking up at these motherfuckers in Texas who are so holier than thou. Like, come to Texas. I'm like, are you guys fucking paying attention? Because your goddamn state in 2 more elections is fucking blue.
They're not paying attention.
2 more elections. And when that happens, you don't have a fucking possibility of a Republican presidency anymore, or a Republican Senate or Congress. You have a country that is at the will of those who move into the major cities.
That's right.
Exactly what you said. There's this thing, because I was a political science major when I went to college, right? And it's an old adage. You vote with your feet, but you don't. You actually now you take your politics with you and you go and vote how you left with your feet.
Right. Right. So you don't want to pay the taxes, and you don't want to have the
you want to go to this new area that has this haven for you and bring all that shit with you subconsciously or otherwise, and then you turn it into the exact same fucking place you left.
They're kind of like locusts, man. And I tell people North Carolina used to be very red. North Carolina is pretty purple now. And that's all by design. And so like I've had New Yorkers come down here, and I'll just say straight up, I go, look, dude, I'm from New York. Don't come here. If you're gonna come here, don't bring the New York bullshit, because we don't want it. We don't, and I can say that because I'm fucking from there. So go away.
Yeah.
Like but it's also they're upfront about it. I mean, there's these like turn Texas blue. I mean, that's really what they're doing. They're literally.
Shit. But why? Why do you want to turn a state that you want to be in into something you left? I don't get that. Because again, what I said is incredibly smart and prescient. It's that they're brought
not
by Terry Schappert. Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying to you, Eric. Listen. I'm giving you the Pope thing here. I'm telling you, these are smart people, but these are not self-aware or humble enough people. They still are arrogant enough to think, well, yeah, that's California, but we're going to go to North Carolina. We're going to go to Arizona. We're going to go to New Mexico. We're going to go wherever. They're going to Idaho. Yeah. Every place is in danger of this, and Texas is one of the Texas cracks me up. Like, let's take. Yeah,
you better pay attention. The color of fucking Terry's shirt right now. All right, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think it's purple. Is it purple?
It's black, but the lighting is. By the way, I'm wearing Ex Umbris.
Are you? Is that how you say that? I always thought it was Umbris. I don't know. I've got the black dog because I was just in Martha's Vineyard a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, did that. So I got the shirt. But yeah, no, that's and I argue with Brink about this shit all the time. It's like, look, man, Florida has for a while.
Wait, so what's Brink's thing on? What is Brink's take on it?
Brink just thinks the whole fucking state's super conservative. I'm like,
no. Are
you just because you live in Miami and you've got some access to some of the Cuban neighborhoods and all, and that is not. I came from Orlando, right? Central Florida is as blue as it fucking gets at this point, because you got Orlando, you got fucking Tampa. If you
go down to the coast too, like Boca Raton and Naples and all that, those are all the rich white liberals that moved to the Northeast.
Well, I mean, that's mostly Central Florida, the fucking, the I-4 corridor. Why do you think all these fucking presidential candidates go to the fucking the villages up there outside of Orlando and all this shit? Because from Tampa up to fucking Orlando and all the way up to Jacksonville, you have this I-4 corridor is what they call it. And it's all there's the University of Central Florida, where I graduated from. You have University of Tampa, but all this shit it's fucking academia riddled nonsense. It's all turned into a fucking blue show.
By design.
It is, man. Like, and it's all, where they all came from. Most Northeast. Of Central Florida was populated from people who came from the Northeast.
Well, that's what happened with COVID too. Look, nobody, when COVID hit, right, in New York, that's a big place in New York. All the people, the snowbirds, and everybody else who have the place in Boca, they're going to go down to Boca. They're going to go down to Naples. they brought, I mean, COVID really, I mean, no one was fleeing to New York. They were fleeing from New York to these places.
I mean, it's the same in California when they fucking shut down. All these people are fucking going to the Idaho. They're going to Montana and Wyoming.
Do you think Gavin Newsom's going to get kicked out? What do you think?
So it's such a weird, I was talking to Maddie about this and she's just like, cause she votes here. I don't, I still vote in Florida. But she's like, you know, there's no good option because there's like 40 fucking candidates on that thing. So it's such a weird law though, bro. Check this out.
Yeah.
So if Californians vote to recall him, then whoever replaces him simply is just who gets the most of the votes of the candidates on the ballot. And there's like 30 some fucking
there's
candidates.
Like a million of them.
Right. So if he does, and it only has to be a 50% plus one threshold from what I understand.
Right.
To recall
get him out.
To recall him.
Yeah.
So if he gets recalled, he's getting replaced. That's just, right. I mean, that just is what it is. I genuinely think it's going to happen, but I don't know. Like, so I don't know, dude. Like, I hate pundits of all sides, right, left. And apparently like the front runner all of a sudden has become Larry Elder.
Right.
And I had a buddy in Florida who's like, what do you think of Larry Elder? I'm like, what, the fucking black Sean Hannity? Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Like, what has that guy done to, like, I'll have arguments all day against Governor Newsom. I will. I can present him. But you're trying to tell me like the best option to replace that dude is some dude who's been a fucking talk show host for 30 years? That's my issue with Hannity, man. Like all this stuff, like with Rush.
The other thing is too, I mean, the problem with California is you get rid of Newsom. You know, remember Schwarzenegger tried to come in there and fix that, and he just got completely beaten down. Like it's like, I don't know.
Now he sounds like Newsom with the
right now he is Newsom, right? So it's weird. I mean, and I do
freedom, bro.
I think Larry Elder's a pretty conservative dude from what I mean, again, I don't know.
Yeah, he might be, but I don't know if that man means he's able to fucking run a goddamn state just because you have a talk show.
Can't do any worse than Gavin Newsom.
You really can't. And that's my point to her. I don't know who she's going to vote. What I don't care. I really don't give a fuck what people vote for. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just like, yeah, I don't know. September 14th coming up. And I don't know, man. I really don't. I think it's going to be, I think he's got to get recalled. I really do.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the other thing, like what you were talking about with some of these states is I didn't realize. So when I came out here in 2016, I went to Roseville. Are you familiar with Roseville, California?
No.
Suburb just north of Sacramento. It's in Placer County, outside of Sacramento. It is literally the most fucking conservative county in this state, right?
Okay.
I think Congressman McClintock is the guy that was up there. I don't know if he still is, but and then for the first time ever in my life, I came here to California from Florida with all these preconceived notions about California. And I'm in Roseville and Placer County. And I'm like, holy fuck, these people, they're super fucking conservative.
Right.
You got all these fuckers up there in the hills, and then they're starting to get into the mountains of Northern California and these state of Jefferson people. And like, there's a big disconnect between the average citizen in California and the motherfuckers who live in Sacramento, San Francisco, and LA. Huge. And here's my problem. Here's the problem, Terry. So check this out. I went back and looked at this. So I came from Florida, right? Smaller population than California. California at the time had like 39 million. I think Florida was 27 or some shit like that. Florida had twice the amount of people who voted than California.
Whoa.
And, you know, so what I've been able to deduce is that there's a ton of Republicans in this state, and those motherfuckers simply don't show up. They just
shame on them. I mean, I mean, that's
they don't fucking vote.
A lot of people at this, I mean, maybe also with what we've seen going on now with, you know, I don't care what anybody says, man. You know, that 2020 election was sketchy. It was sketchy. And it was just because I just think, put it this way, just flip it. If there were states that Biden was winning, and then like at midnight or 1 a.m, they stopped. And then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, Trump's ahead by like 100,000 votes. Cities would be burning. They would have burnt cities to the ground. And so, I mean, the problem was there were a lot of people, unhinged people, pushing this thing, you know, this big, huge, grand national scheme. And I don't think it was that. I think you're dealing with states that just are always fucked up and fraudulent. Like Philadelphia is known for that. People come from New Jersey and fucking, I mean, it's just, and how much, I guess the problem is then too, sort of like, illegal immigration, or how many people we're bringing in from Afghanistan, or how much voter fraud. Like, what's the amount that you're willing to tolerate? Like, what's the amount of
Here's
fraudulent?
a great example. Like, I just told her, like, so we're in this fucking massive apartment complex here in Napa, right? And I just went to get the mail last weekend, and I got her vote, or her ballot.
Right.
And then we have the basket of unreturned or wrong address mail, and there's like 6 of those recall ballots sitting there. And in my mind, I'm like, this would be so easy. But I have this thing called a fucking moral compass, right? So I'm just like,
you could,
but that's 6 right there. I counted 6 just sitting there. And I'm just like, this is unfucking real to me, that this is still how we do shit.
My parents were getting unsolicited mail-in ballots in North Carolina, like multiple ones. They never requested that. They didn't request that, and it's, I mean, Dad died before the election. Dad died in September, but yeah, so he didn't see it, and he was kind of gone then anyway. But like, he was getting mail in. I was like, Dad, you're getting, like, what are these? So and that's the other thing too. COVID has just been, I mean, I think right now, God damn, man. I mean, like, we destroyed the country for a virus that's like 99.7% survivable, and it actually
weird.
It's not weird. It's understandable. Again, if you go back to how we've been indoctrinated and how they've worked the population. I mean, we're basically now we have a fully half the population siding with state-sanctioned child abuse. I mean, they're actually they want to have their kids wear masks to school, even though there's no data that supports that, and the kids are getting sick. From a developmental thing, they can't talk, they can't read, they can't. I remember I was in
the
hospital.
Teenage suicide rate, bro, over the last
year.
Dude,
and it's like it was funny, man.
And I have a daughter who's a fucking teenager.
I probably made a mistake because I was with my mom, and I take my mom to all these medical appointments, and I was in some doctor's office with her, and this woman walks in with her baby, like a little tiny kid, right? And she's wearing a mask, and I said, these masks are so bad for child development. And she just looked at me like, I was clearly some kind of a knuckle dragger. And I just think, again, first of all, they're mad at us. Here's the thing. They're mad at us. They're fucking mad at us for doubting them when they've given us every reason to doubt them.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like I'm going to slap you in the face. And if you flinch, I'm going to go, ha ha, you flinched. Like, you're made us be this way. So like, COVID hits in last year in the winter time. We're told by Fauci that, hey, and what China said, hey, listen, the World Health Organization says, listen, it's not transmittable human to human, blah, blah, blah. China has this, blah, blah, blah. And we get all this wrong information. And then they change. I get that. Information changes. But they didn't even really justify it or say, hey, we're sorry about that. They just said, here's the new thing. Live with it. And the first thing, everybody in the country was on board when this started. With everybody was like, okay, we get this. So like, it's like, listen, we have a virus coming in. We don't know a lot about it.
15 days to stop the spread.
Right. So let's do this.
The fuck it was.
So try to stay a little apart from each other. Maybe wash your hands, social distance. And of course, the biggest thing, which we failed at was protect people who are vulnerable, people who are sick. We all know now that, overweight people with metabolic conditions are really, really susceptible to it. But like, everybody was on board with that. Like, yeah, okay, cool. We'll try to, and then it became tacking on more shit. And it's surprising. I mean, look what's happening in Australia right now. They have literally signed up. They're signed up. They're back to being a penal colony, basically. Like what the hell, dude? Like, I just don't understand. And again, once again, same theme, Eric. Decades and decades of political and educational indoctrination telling you that this is the way to go, that this is like, they've tried to, and they've been successful in many ways to beat the sort of individual, sort of hardcore spirit of an American. They've tried to beat that out of the population because those kind of people are not malleable. Those people are not you can't manipulate them. So the best way to do that is to shame them and to convince other people that they're doing the right thing. Someone wrote today, and I thought that was brilliant. Actually, it was Michael Malice, who's a friend of mine, and he said,
I love
he's
that
a friend of mine. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. I've been on his show. He's such a dick, but he's so great.
I love his account.
Oh, he's so great. He's so great. But he said something like, he goes, I think it's interesting now that the people people are afraid of getting, the people convinced of all this are afraid of getting COVID, not because they're afraid of COVID, but they're afraid of people thinking they did the wrong thing. And I was like, that's a pretty good point. Like, that's a pretty good point. People are more concerned about complying and not doing the wrong thing than are actually getting sick with COVID, because you're a pretty good chance you're going to survive COVID. Again, not minimizing anybody who got hurt or killed by it, because it's a disease, but you know.
So, but okay, so I have something I found it and I wanted to share it. But first, why would anyone want to do that in the United States in power? Why would they want to do that, knowing it undermines the country?
Because again, they don't like the country as it is. The country to them is flawed. The country is filled with a bunch of people who will not comply and who don't know what's good for them. And so these people actually believe the lie that they know better than you do on how to choose and make decisions and run your life. They believe, and on some level, it comes from a good thing where they think it's for the common good, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so for the common good, listen, we know these dumb trailer park people, they're not going to get vaccinated. They're going to drink Mountain Dew. So we got to ban sugary soda, or we got to do this. So it's like, again, it always comes, the tyranny always comes in a lot of these times as something benevolent, something it's for your own good. It's for your own good, folks. And I think they really believe, and here's the thing too, the people that want to destroy the country are assuming and gunning for a seat at the table when it is remade. And that's where a lot of them are going to find out quickly that they're not going to have a seat at the table. Like, if you're Antifa, let me tell you, Antifa, what you guys are to the Dems. You are street soldiers. You are street soldiers to the American left. If you get what you want, if you have that power vacuum and you tear down the United States, the communists who are like happy to use you, they're gonna round you up and kill you because you have accomplished your mission, and now you are violent and unpredictable, and you are not going to have you think you're going to have a seat at the table, and you think there won't be anybody in charge. There's always some people in charge. And when they get in charge, they're going to get rid of the street soldiers. And, you know, there's a lot of useful idiots carrying water for these kind of people, thinking that, well, you know, like the kind of crocodile ain't going to eat me if I comply. Yes, he will eat you. He will eat you. He will eat you. And
don't you think, like, isn't so first off, so let me read this and then I'll do a follow up to that. Is so Disclosed TV posted this earlier on Twitter. Just in, certain immune cells from prior infections with, quote, common cold coronaviruses boost the immune system response against COVID-19. A new study led by some fucking university in Berlin. And for the and also the Max Planck Institute for Molecular Genetics concludes, right? So it sounds to me like what they're starting to figure out is that, you know what, it ain't any different than whatever else the fucking human population's gone through for the last thousands of fucking years.
Absolutely right.
Right.
Absolutely right.
But this is my, so before I follow up to that, but dude, you graduated in the 80s. I graduated in the fucking 90s in high school, and they couldn't do this then because we didn't have the ability to do anything fucking virtual, right? The internet wasn't really what.
That's a good point. That's a really good, dude. That's a fucking good point.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't say, stay
at home.
Yeah, you couldn't do that shit. You just had if this would have happened in the 90s, hey, we're going to wing it. Go to fucking school.
Right.
Like, you couldn't do what's been done.
That's a very good point about the internet. That's a fucking, I never really thought of that, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Cause like it's perfect. And by the way, isn't it funny that the big tech companies are the ones shutting down any dissenting opinion about this? Like, they'll shut you down. If you come out and say, like, I mean, that's the other thing too. Again, you're mad at us for not trusting you, yet you're shutting down people that you, Zuckerberg, or whoever the hell else is running shit, you know, Jack from Twitter, or any of these Google, like, you're actually feel like it's your role to control this. Yeah. And so that's these are you know, scratch a left winger and you'll find a tyrant every time. That's a great point about the internet, dude, because they just told people, go stay home. And guess what you got to do? You got to fucking eat junk food, watch Netflix, and get fat instead of exercising and being outside, which is, you know, it just, and that's what does COVID. Right.
But here's my big question with that, man. And I've bounced this off a lot of people in my personal life, but I'm here in Napa, like the fucking San Francisco's 40 minutes away over the fucking bridge, right?
Yeah,
These companies you just highlighted, they've all created the ability, like throughout all this, is you actually can work from home.
of course. Of
Well,
course.
what do you do to the commercial real estate market in this country?
It's-
What do you do just in San Francisco on its own, where the fucking rent is so exorbitantly high from a commercial or a residential standpoint? Like, I go to Giants games all the time, and I love to walk by as I'm coming back and walking along the water, and let me fucking open Zillow. And dude, there are 400 square foot apartments. 400 square foot is my fucking table that I'm sitting at right now.
It's a closet.
Dude, that's fucking in excess of $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking stupid. Like, there's no justifiable logic behind.
I was
why
saying that
should
too.
be
I was
that way.
asking someone else about this who's smarter than me because I'm a New York guy originally, so I think to myself, what's happened what if you're a financial company like a bank like Chase Manhattan why would you pay the money to have a building in New York?
You're gonna crash that market, right?
When all your drones can operate from home. And again, though, what that does,
and they keep building. I just flew into JFK and I lost track of the amount of fucking construction looking out through the airport windows.
Yeah, like, I don't know how New York, I don't know how it recovers. I mean, I don't know how it recovers, but it also getting to what we were talking about when we started talking is about what does that do? It actually isolates human beings. Like it becomes. You become this is your world right here. Yeah. This is your world right here. You can and do this kind of shit. You don't have to interact. You don't have to talk your way out of. You don't have to.
And that's a great point because one of our friends, he's I don't know what the fuck he does, but he made a good point because I asked him about the same thing, and he obviously travels a lot for his business, but he made a good point. He's like, there's only so many relationships you can foster and maintain through a fucking internet connection. Like at some point you have to get back in front of them and
right.
So I got that and it made sense. I think he's on our side if we're honest, but
yeah.
So, but still what you're bringing up is right. Is like these companies, when you have so much of the economy based on tech and the ability to do most of their economy. Why do you need to pay as that major company? Why do you got to pay fucking, I don't know,
ridiculous amounts of money,
10, maybe it's hundreds of thousands, who knows, in terms in fucking rent a month? Why? When you don't have to pay any of that shit and just be like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay for your fucking internet because that's way cheaper than paying 6-figure rent. You just make sure you're here and logged on at this time and you log out at this time.
And here's a funny thing too. We can actually physically locate you outside of these blue areas. So we can now pick up your tech asses who think left and move you to Boise, Idaho. We can move you to a conservative place. And guess what? You can work from there and vote and change them too. You can do that too. It's a real remaking of the country. Yeah, I know, dude. It's all right in front of you. Like I said, dude, I'm 55, so I may have another year or two before you put me in the ground. No,
you might not make it through this podcast, bro, to be honest.
And like I said, I don't have kids. I'm a die in a VA hospital on a ventilator, but like, that's okay, I guess. I'll have maybe a Judas Priest poster in my room, or
Iron Maiden would be better, but that's me.
No.
Are you going to try and tell me Iron Maiden is not better than Judas Priest?
I'm going to absolutely tell you that.
How the fuck? What is Judas Priest doing in 2021 when Iron Maiden has a brand new album coming out in September 3rd?
Listen to me.
I will not.
Judas Priest, we're just going to agree to disagree. Judas Priest is the greatest fucking hard heavy metal band
They haven't done anything since the fucking 80s of note. That's my problem with Judas
Priest. You haven't been paying attention. They have.
No one's been paying attention. That's the problem.
This guy has.
Look, I'll give Judas Priest some great. They had some great shit in the 80s, but the longevity does not hold up. It just doesn't.
I disagree.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you're usually wrong. So
you suck.
Yeah, you know what? There's a great line from Airheads
today. By the way, before I logged on with you, I saw a video of some news organization idiots that had a picture of Kabul around the airport, and it said like trash, stray dogs, blah blah blah. Oh, guess what those dogs are? Those are fucking military working. They have collars on. You can even see where the harnesses were. And it's like shepherds and Malinois, and they're just walking around.
That's like the confusion. Like, so is that true, or are they dogs that were like the pets of contractors and Afghans there? Like, so that I think there's a huge disconnect. 'Cause I'm trying to follow Christina's reporting on it, but
well, all I know is I just saw this video now, and these don't look like pets. These look like working dogs. So whether it's contractors, like U.S. contractors, or military working dogs, go look at the video, dude. Man, I mean, these are like,
I can't.
Like
I won't. No, I can't.
Yeah, you'll get really mad because they're wearing collars, and you can see where the harnesses were, and they're just walking around aimlessly, and you hear the fucking language in the back. They're waiting for their humans to come help them, and they don't know it, but they're already dead. They're dead, and they don't know it. Those dogs are dead as we speak. They just don't know it yet. So, and again, so
let's finally, after an hour and 49 minutes, let's get into it. So we went off, but the last 2 weeks, specifically in Afghanistan, I know you said you never served there. You weren't an Iraq guy, but I know you've been on the teams. You've had guys who have probably
lost friends there.
Yeah. So you've got that, but as not even as a soldier watching what's taking place, as an American, what do you just take from the last 2 weeks? Because I can't, there's so much shit I can't say. And
yeah, I mean, and again, we're almost at 2 hours. I gotta punch out a little bit, but I just think what's happening now is people aren't really seeing the second, third, fourth order effect of this. This is just, and you know this.
Yeah.
This is going to have some really far-reaching effects, and it's not just the ridiculous amounts of equipment now is in the area that's going to be sold or used or bartered for. And people are like, you don't think China's going to send people in there that can help them repair shit or help them fly stuff? Like, all of our enemies are just like, this is fucking gold mine. So that's that bit. And then also just the idea that the whole world watched the United States just humiliate itself. And there's no way that was not going to be not sticky. It was not. I mean, I get that, but what's weird is that if they let's just be honest. Let's just say the Biden administration plan. Let's just say the Biden administration plan went really well, relatively well. Like, it was pretty seamless, and it got done when it was supposed to get done without all the violence. Do you think they would have given Trump credit for that? Like, to set it up? No. So that means it was their plan. And now that it didn't go that way and it was a cock up, they have to own it, because they wouldn't, if you're not going to give credit to the people before you, because it's your plan, right? You decided to take what he did, table it and go, we're going to do it our way. Now you can't say, but Trump. You got to say, we fucked up. And they won't do it. General Milley he was an SF guy. How embarrassing is he? He's so embarrassing. And, we have State Department people, once again, too smart for their own good. These Wesleyan grads and Kennedy School grads, and they're actually idiots. And, but in what we've seen in 2 weeks is a very divided country too. And, our enemies are watching. Absolutely. Our enemies are watching. And so it's not just, the bad guys, and there are many of them, they're not just looking at a fucked up American government, because governments come and go. That's, you have shitty presidents and shitty leaders, and it happens. The biggest problem we're having, though, is that they're actually looking at the American population and go, holy shit, these people are fucking weak. They're divided. They're weak. They're navel gazing, talking about gender pronouns, and they're fighting over minutia that means nothing. And here we are teaching our kids to fucking sharpen swords. And so the biggest thing is the weakness of the American population, not the military fucked this up. They all got to go. The president, absolutely awful. The administration, State Department, Foreign Service, they absolutely are terrible. Those can be replaced, but what you can't replace now is them looking at the population and going, holy shit, man, we can really start having our way with these people. And they're going to.
Do you think
it's depressing?
It's depressing, but do you think the Second Amendment prevents a lot of that?
Yes, it does, but it also is, and that's, by the way, why they're trying to get rid of it so badly, right? That's a huge, think about it. They want that so, God, if they could just take those guns away, man, they'd have it. They're so close, right? So they'll try to do the death by 1,000 cuts. That's why, again, they've turned me into a Second Amendment absolutist. I never really thought that much about it. I was just,
same.
but now I'm an absolutist about it. It's like, you don't touch anything, because they'll try to do shit. They'll try to fuck with
I think
ammo.
if you can buy a fucking tank, you should have it.
That's had the Revolutionary War. They had warships. Private citizens had warships.
That's where I've gotten to. Like, you know what? No,
I'm with you, dude. Like, I think, but again, you're right. The Second Amendment. That's why we're still kind of hanging on, because if we didn't have the Second Amendment, you don't think half this population that's cheering for what's going on in Australia wouldn't try to do this to us?
Dude, that's fucking insane. Is that not insane?
Think about that, though. Australia has no guns. They have been castrated. That's a castrated population, and
they're isolated. They're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah,
it's nowhere.
Very good point. And by the way, they have almost no problems with COVID. They really don't. Like, had like 1 or 2 deaths, and they just completely shut. I mean, like, guys. I mean, whatever happened to these guys are talking about the greater good, and yet they're shredding their own fucking country. But you bring up a great point about the Second Amendment. That's why it's such a tenuous thing. And, people who don't, I get, if you're not into guns, I get it. I'm not even a gun guy. Like, I guess I'm good with the guns I have. I mean, it was my career to be a good shooter and everything, but like Clay Martin, that's a gun guy, right? Some of the guys we follow on, but we have other guys on Twitter, some of our goon friends that are just, dude, they know more about guns. Red knows way more about guns than I do.
In that chat, half the shit they talk about, I'm just like, I read it, I'm like,
yeah. So I
don't speak this fucking language.
You don't even have to be, that level of gun, right? Yeah. You and I, listen.
It's like me with bourbon. They probably have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Listen, dude, you and I are just fucking eye candy, is what we are. We're just handsome fucking people that just like, we're idea guys. I don't really need to be good at what I do. I just need to be able to, okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then there's the Joe Kents of the world who are both. That's scary.
He is such a handsome devil, isn't he?
That fucking chin. Oh, he could break glass.
And he is, you know what it is with Joe? I've never met him. I actually will be happy to campaign for him and devote anything I can to him. He's, whether you disagree with him or not, and I don't, I agree with him fully.
Yeah.
But like, even if you disagree with him, he is a sincere man. He sincerely believes
it.
He is not here for the grift.
Yep.
He is not, and he's not, and he doesn't want to destroy the country. He wants to.
Dude,
save
I've been hammering these fucking grifters on both sides lately.
They're terrible.
I can't stand them. I fucking hate them. I hate the and you may know a lot of these people just on your circle you run in, but I fucking can't stand them. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't like anyone.
Well, you know what it is? A lot of them now, and I said something about this the other day. I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. Pay attention to these people that were, if not actively campaigning for the left, kind of helping them along a little bit. Look, I get it. You don't have to say. That's the other thing that was a big mistake that they made. They assume guys like you and I are just slavish, mindless Trump devotees. It was never about Donald Trump for me. I know who he is. He's a carnival barker.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was a surprisingly effective conservative president who was not ashamed of his base. See, that's the difference with this guy. And here's why. He's the only president, and I don't even think he's religious. He's probably paid people to have abortions. But he actually went to, no, I'm serious. But he actually went, you talk or you do. He went to the March for Life in DC. He's the only American president to fucking do that. Reagan didn't do that.
Really?
George Bush didn't do that.
Interesting.
No conservative president did that. And so you have to understand that he actually went to that. He showed up. He goes to the Daytona 500 and does a lap with his fucking limo, and he has planes buzz it, and he'll stop and he'll shake firemen's hands. He loves that shit. He so many times when conservatives would get into office, they'd be like, hey, see you in 4 years. See you in 4 years. I'm going to go do what I'm going to do. And you can suck it. I know what you wanted, but yeah, thanks for getting. And I think that's another reason why we elected Trump. Trump is, Greg Gutfeld and I talk about this a lot. Like we said, Trump was basically a New York liberal. Basically,
I know that. Yeah,
a New York liberal that now he just took the lunch out of all their fucking hands And it really pissed them off. And I think this, and this is going to sound, okay. So I think when Trump ran, I think he was doing it for a genuine reason. He wanted to fix things, but I think it was a huge ego thing for him too. And by the way,
totally.
But
Why
Barack Obama,
yeah, I mean,
Barack Obama was just as egocentric and petulant as Donald Trump. He was just a lot smoother about it. He's just more likable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was just as ego-driven and petulant and petty as Donald Trump. But the thing was, I think when Trump got into office, when he won and he was like, holy fuck, I actually pulled it off.
Yeah, Joe Rogan had a great
I do think along the way he started to realize how many people really, really put their trust in him. And I feel like he kind of did some conservative things that I didn't expect him to do. One of his biggest mistakes, and he fucking paid for it mightily over and over again, was picking the wrong people to work for him. Wrong cabinet people, wrong advisors, and they fucking backstab. By the way, do you think by now, if this is the Trump administration fucking up Afghanistan the way these guys did, how many whistleblowers would we have right now? There'd be like 10 of them already on MSNBC.
It's a great point.
Guess how many we haven't seen? We've seen zero. You got to give these fucking people credit because they close ranks in a way that the Republicans never will do.
Oh yeah, the right in this country, they're so short-sighted. They have no idea how to play the long game.
Nobody turned on Barack Obama. Nobody turned on Barack Obama. Nobody.
Yeah. The right doesn't know how to play the long game in this country.
No, and the guys
allow
like
all the rules to be dictated to them.
Right, and the David French types who I just can't even. I can't pay attention. He is one of those guys that would be there. He'd be getting ready to get his head cut off, and he'd be like, "But I did it the right way. I played by the rules." And they're like, "Yeah, dude, here, let me just saw your fucking head off on camera." And so there's they're almost like these masochistic gimps that
they don't want to win.
Yeah, they don't. I said this. You know what they are? I said this before, and I got hammered. I said him and Jonah Goldberg
and fucking Max those Boot, guys, all these guys, the Lashes, Dana and fucking Chris.
Well, but you know who they are? They're writers, people, not fighters.
Yeah, and Ben Shapiro's, all these fucking people. They're all fucking grifters.
Jonah Goldberg wrote a book which was fucking. If you get a chance to read it, it's worth reading. I wouldn't buy it because I wouldn't give him the money. Go find it, steal it from somewhere, or borrow it. But he wrote a book called. He wrote a book around 2007 or 8, right, called Liberal Fascism.
Okay.
Unbelievable book, dude. Like really good. And it's talking about the inexorable encroachment of the rabid American left and what that was meaning. And it was a great book. And
he never had an inkling that someone like Donald Trump could come along, did he?
No, he never had to actually step into the ring and fight. So these guys are able to write books and make big money as consultants.
They're all
they go
grifters.
on Fox News and blah blah blah. But when the push, and I remember Clay Martin said this too about Trump. You go to war with the general you have. You go to war with who you got. Like that's who we had. And instead of giving him credit for the conservative shit he did, which was pretty good, all they did was cut him. And that's how you knew for them it was a grift and it was ego. Because a real Ted Cruz is a perfect example. And Rand Paul, those guys were insulted by Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump said the most ridiculous
the fucking
bullshit.
Tea Party is such a scam. All those fuckers that came in on that back of that.
What I'm saying is though, but listen to me. But what's interesting about like Cruz and Rand Paul, as badly treated as they were by Trump in the primary when they were running against him, he insulted them and said all sorts of stupid, retarded shit. At least when he started doing conservative stuff, constitutional stuff, they backed him. Yeah. Unlike John McCain, who was two things can be true. John McCain was a war hero who sacrificed for the country and was insulted unforgivably by Donald Trump. That's true.
Yeah.
The other thing that's true is John McCain absolutely fucking betrayed the conservatives and the Republicans because he was pissed off at Trump for insulting him.
True. Yep.
He could have repealed Obamacare and he didn't. And he was and by the way, they hated McCain. They literally called him a Nazi when he was running for president. They called him a white supremacist. The same playbook. They mocked Barack Obama.
Bomb Iran.
Yeah, Barack Obama mocked his arm because he couldn't use a computer. Well, it was broken in the Hanoi Hilton, asshole.
Yeah.
So but as soon as McCain was against Trump, they lionized him. They had like a week-long state funeral for this guy. Even though, so he was a war hero who was treated badly by Trump. and he betrayed the conservatives, and he was a shitty fucking Republican. Both things are true. Both things are true. You can have that. You can have that. You can have two things that are true. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like, I'll never forgive Trump for what he said about McCain. That's not forgivable what he said.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So where are you now based off of what we heard today from the president in terms of, and then some of the people that came on after talking about, you know, we're going to provide direct support and aid to the Taliban. Like, isn't that insane? We went to war 20 years ago, literally almost 20
What did I tell you, dude?
ago.
I'm telling you, Wesleyan poli-sci people are running the show. They're not.
What did you think though? Like, so you wanted to come back in, you came back in October of 2001, like
right. The month after 9/11.
So when you came back in and everything you did between then and 2016, I know you said you never went into Afghanistan, you lost people there, but what was your mindset in the moment? Like, were you concerned with the greater national picture, or were you just focused on what you guys, whatever your fucking mission was at the time?
I think, yeah, that's a good question. I think most of us would probably say the same thing. The national picture, when the war started in 2001 and I came back in, that's when I started really, I didn't really pay attention to politics that much when I was in group in the 90s. I mean, I was living in Germany doing cool shit with, I was living in Germany doing cool shit with C-110. I was like, okay. I started getting hip to it and paying attention and reading a lot after I came back in. And when you're there, you're not doing it for anybody but each other. Right? You're not like when you're there on the ground, you're not the politician. I don't know if we even really talk too much about that because we're so absorbed with the day-to-day of what we're having to do and mission planning and mission execution and all that kind of stuff. But I was always thinking about the politics of it. And hey man, I went to, it's funny, man. I was in the first Gulf War in Iraq, and then here I am back again. It's weird going back, Thank
you for my freedom, by the way.
You're welcome for your. I didn't want to say it, but I appreciate you saying it.
I should say it.
You kind of should, but but it was weird being back there, and I kind of bought on the Iraq thing. I thought, well, look, man. People ask me why'd we go into Iraq. You know what I said? I go, because we fucking can, because we're gonna put our fucking boot on their fucking face and let anybody know if they go through there. If anybody helps these guys, we're gonna. I was wrong. I was wrong, dude. Like, I was wrong. And I'll admit it. You know what I mean? And I lost friends there, man. It was it's like, I was wrong. I will say this. I was talking to my mom the other day too. I talk to my mom a lot when I'm not there because my mom needs a lot of help. God bless my mom. My mom, I owe my mom everything. But I said to her, I said it is kind of a bitter pill to swallow when you do realize that how many big lies you were told, and you didn't even believe all of them, because you didn't really care. But when you do step back a little bit and you realize this fucking machine of a U.S. government and military that really isn't, they're not doing it for the right reasons. They're really, and there's so many people making so much money in the fucking pig trough of this complex. When you realize that, that's a hard pill to swallow, because you do think, man, was that worth it? On the other side of the coin, I tell people this too. Here's the dirty secret about us. A lot of people fetishize us or lionize us and keep telling us we're heroes. Let me tell you something. We like to fuck shit up. We like the violence. I like the violence. I like being part of it. I like being part of a team of guys that is able to commit fucking major violence. I'm sorry. And it is what it is. And a society will do well to channel those kind of cats into the right thing, right? You take people in that population and you put them to good use, because you enforce foreign policy, you gain territory, you defend your border, whatever you got to do. But there's a part, and it's a selfish life again, because we're volunteer. When you can get out anytime. You don't have to re-enlist in SF. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do another fucking hitch as a SEAL. You don't have to do it. You don't have to fucking stay.
How is retention though in that area? Is that pretty high?
I've been out for a little bit, so I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see how it goes now. Be interesting to see how it goes now. I think generally I don't know that. I'll have to get back to you. I'll have to talk to some people.
Yeah,
in, like,
no,
recruiting
I'm
command,
I'm
stuff
just
like that.
curious because I think
You mean we like bleeding guys or something like that?
no, I don't think you are. I think
Yeah, I don't think so. I think because we are, again, we're
for
just
the
a
most
different
part,
breed.
yeah, exactly. And I think that because of that, and it's because of all the unique shit you guys still do,
Right.
I think it's kind
And
of
you
detached
find
from the world picture, right? Like you
yeah,
guys are
you
still
find
really,
SF. You find SF. SF isn't going to come find you. You know, you actually got to go hunt us down. Yeah, they might have recruiting people, but in general, man, no one's going to say,
no
"Hey,
idea.
we
Yeah,
really want you to be a Green Beret." You
yeah,
got to go after it. And
yeah.
I think we're always gonna. That's another thing too. I don't like when people talk shit about millennials because we always are. I am confident of this as an old guy who, again, is going to die in 2 years in a VA hospital alone by himself on a ventilator. But I think, I take umbrage when people say, we're all the males. I know lots of them. I know lots of fucking young studs
Oh yeah.
that have picked up the sword and will fucking, and are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet just because they saddle up and they go for it. So
Yeah.
I do have confidence. That's why I like working at Robin Sage, the exercise, the Green Beret final exercise, because I'm getting to work with these young guys that are coming through. And it's funny when it's all over too. Like some of them recognize me from TV, which is pretty funny, but they can't, I'm in role. I'm the underground leader. So like I could be an instructor in the role, but like, and it's funny, like at the end of when I'm finally meeting them all, they're all come out.
You're Terry Schappert. I'm like, no,
I'm like, hey
I'm
guys,
not.
I'm in front of all these fucking dirty, tired SF guys, and there's all these other people there, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm Terry Schappert. You probably figured out by now who I am, and then I am indeed kind of a big fucking deal. But it's been and dude, they fucking crack up,
I
and
love
I've
that,
kept
man.
in touch with some of them
That's
too. I've
fucking
kept their
awesome.
numbers. I probably stay in
pretty
touch
cool.
with one guy per class that I kind of like, sort of really bonded
That's
with.
really
But
cool.
we're always going to have cool dudes like that. We're going to have guys.
No, they are.
pick-
It's just I just wonder what the place is for them.
Yeah, good.
Is that
dude.
fair? Is that a fair
That's
question? Because
good question.
at the end of the day, like you guys are not the ones that are pulling the strings.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like, and you
Nope.
brought up someone earlier who came from your regiment. I'm not going to name that because it's not my place, but you brought up somebody who came from that aspect. And yeah, I think it's a little different because unfortunately, I think the world would definitely be a different place if it was you guys who rose to those ranks in terms of who gets to pull the strings at the end of the day. And
I do think, yeah, that's a good point, dude. And I think we have some good people. We got some good dudes in the hopper, I think, that are trying hard to get in and to be of service. I'm just tired and I'm old, but
yeah. Well, I was going to
I've
ask
probably
you
done
why,
too many drugs too.
why the fuck, like, so Joe Kent's running. Why the fuck aren't you?
Dude, I'm not that good. I'm not that smart. I don't
That's
think I'm that
fucking
smart.
bullshit. Do you see who is in occupying those 535 seats right
That's
now?
kind of true, actually. I've seen some of the North Carolina people. I probably could get in there and maybe. And again, that's being a local guy would be a good idea. And Joe Kent, I think, has what it takes to be a president.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's other guys too,
wait.
like Sean Parnell was running for office in Pennsylvania, and he's actually a legitimately nice guy. I know him. He's very sincere. There's a couple other SF guys running around that are doing stuff too. And so I think if we get guys like that in, it's not even about military rah-rah. It's just guys that are problem solvers. But the machine is so gross and so ugly and so like beat you down. Like I don't know, man. Like I just, I don't think it's for me. I'd like to be in the background and help these guys and support them.
Well, we've already talked about in this group chat that you refuse to participate in. Joe's in it, by the way. He's in it. And
maybe I'll talk to you now.
He actually participates with us, but we have the running joke. Usually Nick starts it as like, can you imagine when Joe Kent is president? And he's like, hold on, I got to check the group chat. And it's just us fucking idiots just doing whatever the fuck we're doing. And Joe's like, oh, wait, Red's got a great idea. Hold on. Let's, or, just because that's what goes on. But you know what? Unlike you, Terry, Joe participates.
I don't see.
And I know you got an Android, so maybe that's your biggest flaw. But
Okay, first of all, so a couple things. You're gonna text shame me, which is bullshit.
Hey,
And I've already told you I'm kind of on my deathbed, Eric. So like I feel like you should be. I fought in the Gulf War and gave you your freedom.
I did
feel
get
like
my
you should
freedom
be,
from Terry. Thank you very much.
yeah, and I
America.
feel like you should be a little nicer to me about this. You know, you guys. Fuck, Joe Kent wasn't in the Gulf War. You tell Joe Kent
he was
wasn't,
close.
He wasn't slinging lead with me, fucking pulling people. I mean, no, he wasn't.
He's got 11 deployments.
You could tell him I said that.
Yeah, I will. Actually, you know what? I will, as soon as this is over, I'm going to put it in the group chat and be like, you know what, Joe, Terry thinks your level of service is just not that admirable.
Yeah, just tell him I think it.
You probably shouldn't mention going forward that you were in the military.
No. You're mischaracterizing what I say. It's not that it's not admirable, Eric. He just wasn't in the big one in 1990. It just wasn't in it. I mean, and it is what it is. 1991. It is what it is.
It's a shame. So wait, hold on. So let me get you this last take on this, right? So I know I said this to you under a different. Let's phrase it differently, right? So let's say that someone on the outside who, because Joe talks about the military industrial complex, right? Joe does that. I'm not inventing that. Joe says that. But
and he didn't make that up either. He didn't make that up either.
No, he absolutely hasn't. That's a real term. But so say that there's someone who says to you, Terry, the military industrial complex was kind of born out of World War II, right? Mm-hmm. Because we had to mobilize an entire country, men, women, to, fill the factories, fight the war.
Yep.
And then at some point, eventually it ended because, you mentioned we did some crazy shit over there with these big bright bombs in Japan.
Yep. Twice.
Beautiful sunsets.
Yeah. And hey, by the way, and here's the thing for all the hand wringing and sackcloth and ash wearing, they'd have done it to us. They told you that the Japanese would have done it to you.
Oh, so we'll talk about this offline, but I had a great class. It was called Space Law in my undergrad, but it was about the space program, but a lot of it centered around like the production of the nuclear weapon and how.
Oh, wow.
You know what? If Stalin wasn't killing his fucking scientists every fucking
he could have had it.
Yeah. But Stalin had this weird problem with murder. Is weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he was good at that. Yeah, no, dude, it was anybody who got that would have used it way less judiciously than we did. For sure.
Oh yeah. Like it's still to this day, it blows my mind. It's like we dropped one and the Japanese prime minister was like, we're good. Let's
They won't do it again.
Hey, continue mission. We're good.
They won't do it again. They won't do it again.
Anyway, so to the person who says, all right, so it probably was spun up during World War II because it was, right? We had this big on button, let's get the women in the factories, the men on the fields.
Yeah, man, rationing tinfoil and butter and fucking making bullets and then all of a sudden tanks.
Yeah, and then we won in 1945, and we're like, well, what the fuck? What do we do now? And then in 1950, let's fucking go to Korea. Let's go do that. 1953, that ends with no real whatever. And then we coast into Vietnam. We hang out there until the mid 70s, and then it's like, well, let's have these little dust ups and skirmishes in the 80s, and Panama, as you described, and a few other places. And then let's roll into 1991 and the Gulf Storm and Desert Storm and the Gulf War. Let's start that whole nation building process. Well, that doesn't fucking work out too well. And then 12 years later, we go back. We have the invasion of Iraq in 2003, which comes after us going into Afghanistan in 2001, which just ended today after 20 years. Iraq, you have that. You have all that shit going on over the last 30 years, going back to 1991 in Kuwait, in us going in the first time. And so what do you say to someone who points that out as that is the timeline of the military industrial complex, and how do you turn that fucking machine off?
Well, I mean, you kind of laid it out there pretty good. I think
it's what I do.
What's that?
It's what I do.
Yeah, you do, and you do it well. But you weren't in the Gulf War, so
I was not. And so again, for the 5th time tonight, I thank you.
It's only you're only gonna get so good, Eric. So
I'm probably never getting past this podcast.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Someone else, yeah. Exactly right.
This is my pinnacle.
So who was asking me the other day, like, how do we fix this now? I think I was talking to Jesse Kelly on his show.
Okay,
he called me up and he's like,
"Hey, that guy's been fired up lately, which is nice."
Yeah. He's a good friend of mine. But and he's like, "How does this fix?" I said, I don't know. I said, in a way, the left's always talking about a purge. Well, maybe we should do one too, like a real one. So if you're an officer who has, if we can prove that you have let's do it the way they want to do it. You want to do it, we'll do it. We'll fucking play your game. We'll purge you. You put out a paper about social justice and critical race theory, you're gone. If we find out that you were concerned, like you did not do stuff, combat tasks, but you were talking about gender inclusion and diversity, you're gone. We're going to get rid of you. If we find out any of that shit, I mean, that's kind of like a comic book answer. I don't know how you fix it, dude, because there's so much money involved. There's so much money, man. And it's funny. And they're all in on it, Republicans and Democrats. So think about this. This really pissed me off. This made me very angry at the Dems. So they voted. Everybody went in. Everybody wanted to go into Afghanistan. I get that. And the problem was basically 10 A teams, the CIA, Delta Force guys, and fucking Northern Alliance went in from October, and then in December they were in Kabul. Right? They fucking crushed the Taliban. And then what did we do? Well, Tommy Franks had to get in there and start building big American bases because, we got to get in there and do that. They wanted to get their troops blooded. They wanted to get their fucking stars. They wanted to get their credit. They wanted to get their war. We didn't need to do that. And of course, that became the fucking 20-year thing we got. It was really, really self-serving in many cases. Dude, we fucked them up in a couple of months with just a handful of dudes, really doing what Green Berets do. And then Iraq, we went into Iraq. And here's the funny thing. John Kerry said, we got to go get rid of Saddam Hussein. Hillary Clinton and her husband, Bill, big proponents of getting rid of Saddam Hussein. All the Dems, I think Bernie Sanders is probably one of the only ones who did. Him and probably Patrick Leahy.
He's also not a Democrat. So.
He's not a Democrat. Right, exactly. That's a good point. That's a very good point. So, but then they all said, they all gave the authorization to go in. And then when it started getting shitty, I remember Hillary coming out going, this is George Bush's war. Fuck you. This is your war. You fuck you. Like, what kind of leader? And then she said something, some member of the press did their job and said, well, why did you vote to go in? She's like, well, if I knew then what I knew now. Well, yeah, thanks. If I knew then what I know now, I would probably be a lot more successful. But I mean, it's like, I don't know the answer. That's a good question, dude. Like, hopefully Joe Kent knows how to do that because it's got to get done.
He's hammering it. It's got
to get done. I think one big thing that will help immediately is term limits, because if you have leaders that are only there for a short amount of time, they
Isn't
don't
that crazy.
They don't.
It's never going to happen. Like,
but it should happen.
It's never going to happen. No, it's not.
When the founding fathers did not envision being a member of government.
But you know what? The only reason we have presidential term limits is because FDR was like, I just keep winning. I mean, that's it. That's the only reason that Congress was eventually like, you know what? Fuck that. We got to put a fucking limit on this. This motherfucker's rolling out in his wheelchair, literally, like rolling out there. Like
FDR's like, I'll fucking do it again.
I won again. What's up?
I'll fucking do it again.
Because I can. Because you can't limit me.
But if you don't
have, for whatever reason, no one in the history of the United States have done that before, right? So it's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's a good point. But I think term limits would go a long way.
I'm with you, man. I want it.
There's no reason why Joe Biden. There's no reason why Joe Biden or Mitch McConnell. I mean, I'll pick one from any side. Why Joe Biden has the money and lifestyle he has as a mediocre public servant.
That motherfucker's been in
50 years.
I did say it.
50.
I didn't say it. Let me put it this way. All right. Those motherfuckers, the term limit, if we're going to talk term limits, because the senator gets to be there for 6 and Congress gets to be there for 2, fine. Senators do 1 term. Congressmen are limited to 3 terms. So
Okay.
everyone's limited at 6 years right off the bat, right?
That's great.
How's that?
That's great.
That's great, right?
The
Rotate
trough,
this shit out. And
the
you don't
trough,
get to,
yeah.
you know what? You don't get to leave with a lifetime fucking pension and insurance. You
No.
don't. And you don't get to run for a re-election either. It's just
No, you don't. And that
the only
way,
ones who get to run for re-election are the fucking congressmen, and they get to do it twice. That's it.
that's right. And then you start focusing your energy not on campaigning and re-election, but doing the right thing and going back to your farm, which is what the founding fathers wanted.
Imagine that. Which is every time it boggles my mind when it's like a straight party line vote. Like, really? Is that a straight party line vote? Or did you straight fucking defend, or did you straight vote on your fucking constituents?
That's right.
Right? Because that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. I want you to go a little bit. I don't care if you come from a heavily Republican or a heavily Democrat fucking district. And I get it. We're a representative republic. We're not a fucking democracy for all you idiots who didn't graduate high school. But you need to go to your fucking district and be like, what do I do? Because that would be great. Because that would be great as intended. That's what you should say.
Great.
And that's what you should do for every fucking thing you vote on. Not just like, what's the letter next to my name? That's how I vote.
Well, of course. And if term limits would immediately, if you had that, all that horse trading, those back dealing with, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and the boys club having dinner going, listen, Chuck, he's like, Mr. McConnell, Chuck, if you give me, there he is. There's Frank.
There's Frank. What up, buddy?
McConnell's, he's by the way, put some weight on that cat and he's going to fucking kill you.
He's only
Make
7.
that cat bigger and he's going to fucking bite you.
He's 6.5 pounds right now. He's about 19 weeks, so he's still growing. But yeah, I'm worried. I might die.
Make him a couple 100 pounds and he'll eat you. He'll eat you right in front of me right now. And I couldn't stop it.
He's the most handsome fucking animal I've ever seen.
He's a very dapper animal. Dapper.
It's the tuxedo. It's what it does. Did you know that like tuxedo cats are the only ones allowed into the New York City Opera because they are dressed for the event? Did you know that?
Did not know that. I'm not surprised.
That is a real fact. I didn't just make that shit up on the There Will Be Bourbon with Terry Schappert. That's true fact.
Well, that's why my dog isn't going anywhere, because he's a lab bloodhound mix that looks like he shops at Walmart. So my dog.
And he's got those droopy ears. He's got the
jowls too. He's got the jowls like me. He's just like rarely
definitely get discriminated against. Poor thing. Yeah. So lastly, before we get out of here, I'll keep you here all fucking night, man, but I know it's probably very late.
No, we could go all night. Guys like us always talk, man, forever.
Yeah. It's only 8:20 for me. This is a warm up, but you're
it's 11:30, dude. I got to take my Geritol.
Because you can say what I can't, and this podcast will take on a different tone at some point, but it can't do it right now. But when you heard the president speak today, what was your big takeaway?
I just, you know what? I lost my dad to a neurological condition that had a lot of dementia in it. He has dementia. The man has dementia. He is slipping. And he's also, he was always, Joe Biden was always a very mediocre talent. He was never a smart guy. He was a glad-handing used car salesman. It's always the kind of, hey, how you doing? God love you, kid. Good to see you. I mean, I'll be here next week. I was like, he was never a tactical thinker. He was never a smart guy. He was just a fucking used car salesman who found his way, and he got picked by Obama so Obama could sell himself to the white people. Honestly, the conservative people are like, whoa, wait a minute. Got to have another guy there. We can't have two black people. So, I mean, seriously, you know that because that's what Obama picked him, because he was grandfatherly and white, and he was an establishment politician. He's just not a talented guy. And today he was angry. He was almost kicking it back at you like, fuck you. I did it the way I wanted to do it. There's no other, we couldn't have done it better. And it is what it is. But you know what, dude, I don't even pay attention to speeches that much. I listened to it. I was just like, yeah, this is what he is. This is what he is. I can't fucking stand when he talks about his son, Bo. That is such bullshit. When he talks about, he always brings in Bo Biden, his son who died, and he was in Iraq. He was on a turn. He was a jagoff. He was a fucking jagoff. And, listen, it sucks losing your family member to cancer. I just lost my pop, and I've lost family members to cancer. It's not about that. But do you really think bringing him into the conversation when you're talking to parents who lost their kids because of your fucking malfeasance, you think that's good? Like, who's telling him to say that? Or is that his instinct? I don't even know.
It's not instinct.
I said this before. I said this on the Gutfeld show last year before I like March of 2019, I guess, like before the election. And I was saying, I said, this is when Biden was picked, to be the thing. I said, you realize Joe Biden's not running for president. He's not running for president. He's not running for president. Joe Biden's not running for president. The forces behind him are running for president. Joe Biden. Do you remember Barack Obama never endorsed him? Do you remember that? He didn't endorse him until he had to, until it was like, okay, he stayed out of that.
When everybody in front of him dropped out for no reason.
Because Obama knew that he was not. I'll say this one thing about this. And I've talked to you about this, and I think most people will agree. Donald Trump was going to win re-election before COVID. You can't You can't beat an incumbent president who has the lowest black unemployment in history, who stuck a fucking missile up Soleimani's ass and fucking bragged about it. So great. All the shit he did. No, I mean, I'm serious. There's no way that dude was good. We had a labor shortage in the country. There was so much going on. And it's very hard to unseat an incumbent president who's done that well.
Yep.
All of a sudden, here comes along COVID. And before COVID really hit, that was when the Democratic primary was going on. And I think that they picked Joe Biden as the candidate to run against Trump because he was a throwaway, because they knew that Trump was going to win. So why sacrifice someone that they could have a political career later when you're going to fucking listen? Joe Biden's going to lose. Trump's going to win. And it doesn't matter if Joe Biden loses because he's Joe Biden. He's done. He's old. I think he was a throwaway candidate. And then all of a sudden COVID hit and they're like, holy shit, we have a chance at this now, because now they can change election law. Now they can, under cover of public safety, they can start mailing out unrequested mail-in ballots. You don't have to have a signature. You don't have to have a return address. It could come in 2 weeks later. All these things they did because of COVID. And the Republicans, by the way, let them do that. Republicans sat on their ass and let these lawyers come in and change all these election laws, which, by the way, you're not allowed to do that except through the legislature. They didn't do that. They did it through the judiciary, activist judges. So my point is, Biden was never supposed to even win because he was a throwaway. They were not going to beat Donald Trump. I think what they had matter of fact, this is a matter of fact, because they were talking about a new impeachment round. Do you remember this? I remember this. Before COVID hit, Pelosi was talking about how we're going to impeach him again. This is what they were going to do for 4 more years. They were going
pre-January 6th. Yes.
Right. This was, they were going to, this is last year. Yeah. This is last year before everything started kicking off with COVID. Pelosi was already lining up a new round of impeachment hearings because that's what they were going to do to him. For 4 years, they were just going to hamstring this motherfucker with the media and everybody else. That was a better position than trying to run against him and get fucking their clock clean. So you know what? Let Biden run. We'll pick Biden, And then all of a sudden COVID hits and they're like, shit, we picked Biden. Okay, what do we do? Well, let's do this. Let's change the election law. Let's get judges into these places and make sure that they can bend all these rules that have never been bent before, all in the guise of public safety. Barack Obama never endorsed him until the very last second. They didn't even, he was a throwaway. He was a throwaway candidate because he's he's a shitbird.
What do they do in 2024 now that they've already played all those cards?
They'll just keep doing what they do. They'll just keep trying to beat down the population, make sure people don't stand up for themselves, call them racist, call them gun owners, call them white supremacists, and just try to keep.
Doesn't that seem so far away though? Because his first year of office has been pretty fucking rough, man.
It does.
The president is whatever side. The president is an unenviable position. But look at this, man.
Yeah,
you wouldn't wish this on any president to deal with.
No. And by the way, I'm not happy about this.
No,
I'm not crowing because Biden sucks.
I mean, it may be great politically because it happened so early and fucking,
but in a way,
in 3 years.
If you're talking purely mercenary politics, no, it's not good because it's so early in his term. The sting of this is going to be much lessened in a couple of years. It will be, again, a news story they can talk about, but there'll be some new shit in the next months,
I mean,
years.
That's just
They're
that.
just the sting of this, the actual realization of how big this is going to be kind of covered up by the media and just kind of cleverly forgotten, and we'll just deal with some other shit. They'll keep pushing for January 6th commission because the government was almost overthrown by people wearing fucking buffalo hats. It's such bullshit, dude. And we're on to it. And you can't talk about it because you get in trouble. By the way, hey, FBI, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing awesome.
You still haven't told Terry why he was not hired. FBI.
Yeah, first of all, he didn't hire me. So that's why I have a grudge. But second of all, we still don't know. Whatever happened to Vegas with that shooter?
Oh my God. Dude. So you know what's crazy is like one of the dudes I put in through OCS, this guy, great dude. I won't say his name, but yeah, his best friend was killed at that concert.
In the Vegas thing?
Yeah, it was a fucking Jason Aldean concert. His best friend was there. And she was killed. Yeah, like I remember
but dude, silence. Just radios, they've never come up with any definitive report.
It's weird, man.
They can tell you where everybody was on January 6th. They can go to your bank records. They can do everything. They can fucking tell you where you took a piss that day. But we can't figure that out. We can't figure this out. You can't you can't. I don't want to talk about it because the feds will come after me.
Well, you're gonna die tomorrow anyway.
I was just gonna say, you know what? Come after me, feds, because I got two. I'm actually a very dangerous guy because I have no family. I'm gonna die in a couple years.
God. You fit every fucking stereotype.
Like, dude, like look at all the tattoos on my arm.
Oh, look at that one. Look at that one right there on your inner right bicep. That's gotta be some sort of.
That's New Defion. That's from the SIF companies.
Oh, that's gotta be like white supremacist.
Oh, clearly, yeah. Clearly it should. All of them. Oh my God. Look at that Maltese cross. That's clearly a KKK symbol. Oh, look, there's an Irish penal cross. That means I don't like blacks, clearly.
Did you ever think like,
you know what it is? These people are fucking stupid, but stupid gets rewarded. It gets,
but that's what I'm curious, man. Because like, did you ever think when you came back in 2001, you retired in 2016, you saw a lot of this, I won't say evolution, I call it the devolution. You saw a lot of this devolution.
Decline.
But did you ever think like this was where everything was trending or where it was headed? Like, did you ever see anything?
I don't think.
Because what's the team sergeant in the SF in terms of rank? What is it?
E8.
Okay, so you got out as an E8. So you probably either shielded your guys from a lot of stupid shit or you've at least seen it.
I was known for that. I protected. Yeah. I had my team 9212. We were kind of the bad news bears. We called ourselves the hard luck kings. I had all this fucking Southies from Boston on my team. So you had all
the fucking Goodwill Huntings, huh?
Yeah, dude. Schappert, what are you fucking doing?
What are we doing? You fucking rolling your eyes up there on fucking Southie.
They were the hardest partying motherfuckers, and they were shit shows in Garrison, but they're the best dudes and I actually almost, I put my career on the line to protect them, and so did my team leader, because you have to do that. You got to protect your guys, man. You got to protect them. I was known for being that. I had a lot of faults. I had a lot of, that was good. I was good at some things as a team sergeant, not good at some things. One thing I was known for was, if you fuck with my guys, I will really come out up your rear. And I literally did that to people. That's just because that's just a loyalty thing. But there's a lot, I could have been a lot better. A lot of things I wasn't that great at, or I could have been better at. But one thing you could never say is that I didn't fucking fight for them. Because I figured out as a leader, as a team sergeant, I realized they don't work for me. I work for them, really.
That's called, and you know what that is, man? You know what you just described right there at the last sentence that you probably didn't realize it, right? So there's this author, his name, not just an author, but he was, intellectual dude, Robert Greenleaf, right? So he wrote a book called The Servant Leader, right? And it's the basis of, because my master's was in organizational leadership, and servant leadership is a big proponent of that, big part of the curriculum, right? But no, everything you just described, it's not about whether you're a leader or not. A leader first serves.
You have to
right?
serve.
You are there only to take care of the people you're in charge of, right? And through all that, you eventually will lead them to wherever the fuck you're going through. But if you only come to them as like, I'm your leader,
that
it's
doesn't
probably
work
not
in
going to
SF.
go very well. It's probably not going to go
Especially
very
in
well.
SF. Especially in SF, that's not the way it's going to work. I got to get going, but I want to leave you with this. One of our commanders up at the unit before he left, there's a plaque which was, I think, one of the best things we at there, and it was from King Arthur, and he had it. We had it on the wall, and it said, "By serving each other, we remain free." And that's it. That's it. By serving each other, we remain free.
Turn it the fuck off, because you just heard Terry Schappert right there on the virtual bar with There Will Be Bourbon. He said, by serving each other, we remain free. So I want you to take that, whoever is listening and watching and made it to this point. That's the fucking crux of what we do, right? Yeah. Don't let the fucking outside and the external ever deter you or discourage you from the fact that at the very core of what you should be doing as a citizen in this country is serving first, and everything else will take care of itself, right?
You're right.
You know what? I always talk about this. I've said it multiple times on this podcast. Like, whatever you feel you're being fed from the media or social media, take a walk outside your fucking front door. Is that how your interactions are with your neighbors? If they are, fix them. If they aren't, disregard everything that you fucking see. Because
That's good advice.
Dude, seriously, bro, I got 7 neighbors, and every single one of them I can go talk to right now if I want to. And I guarantee you, we all don't think the same politically.
That's right.
Go talk to them. That's what's reality. That's what matters.
That seems to be that's lost. That's lost. And it's
real.
We don't want to lose that.
Isn't real. Social media isn't real. I hold on to that. Social media is not real. It's the public town square, but most people aren't at the fucking square ready to participate. They aren't.
That's right.
Right. So that's Terry Schappert. Like you said, he laid out. You can follow him on Twitter. Where can they find you on Twitter, my good man?
Terry Schappert, TerrySchappert. I have my show Hollywood Weapons. We didn't even talk about that. That's another silly thing.
Yeah, I know.
Some other time. My show Hollywood Weapons season 5 premieres, I think, the 25th of September on Outdoor Channel. You can see it on.
Oh shit! It's on Outdoor Channel. Huh?
You can find it on Amazon too, I think.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. So there's a lot of cool shit that Terry does. If you want to get on Twitter, great. If you don't, I applaud you for not. But he's Terry Schappert on Twitter. But there's a lot of shit you can find him on through all of his other actual things that he does. The Hollywood Weapons. You could probably go find out, dude, you're screwed. I'm sure that's out there somewhere.
I think it's on Amazon, actually.
That's probably one of the coolest things about this digital age is like, you know what? You don't get to be like, yeah, I was on this pilot in the 80s. Like, no, that shit's actually out there. We can find it.
You're right. When I get off of this phone, I'm going to walk the dogs. I might watch a fucking episode of Columbo because I'm a boomer.
Yeah, you can do that shit, right? You and Eddie fucking McClintock. You know what? I would love to. Have you talked to Eddie?
No, I've never talked to him personally. Actually, I'm thinking about I want to ask Eddie, invite him if we do a season 6, which I have a good feeling we're gonna. I want to get him on as a guest on Hollywood because he's done some gun stuff in his shows, right?
I will text him as soon as we're done, and I will tell him, hey, Terry wants to fucking talk. Eddie's the coolest fucking greatest dude. We met in Vegas back in July.
Yeah, he seems great.
I love Twitter, that dude. He's great. I fucking love that dude. Like, he's so cool. It makes no sense. He's so cool, and like he's actually accomplished in that fucking weird world.
Well, weird. But there's I will tell you this, because doing Hollywood Weapons, I've met a lot of different people, actors and stuff like that, and big ones too. And I'll tell you that there's more people that you think in Hollywood that think the way we do, but they mostly kind of lay low. Yeah, except of course my friend Nick Searcy, who's the best bomb thrower on Twitter. But,
you know what's weird is like the last account I was on, probably 4 years, maybe that was probably 3 years ago. Nick and I went at each other. It was really weird. It was so random and weird. I don't even remember.
Yeah, but I'll tell you though, in person,
I just love him from Justified because it's my favorite show ever.
He was great. Justified. We did a Justified episode, and
what?
Dude, I had the Timothy Oliphant hat, the jeans.
Oh shit, I love that.
Dude,
guy.
if I find, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
But Nick Searcy was on, and he was a guest, and he was so gracious, man. We laughed. He's from North Carolina. He's got, he's got a great wife. He adopted a boy who was, mother. His mom was a crackhead, and he gave me a box of cigars, and we stay in touch, but he goes after people sometimes, and it is what it is. But I'm just saying,
he's a good guy. I think he's a good guy at his core.
He is a good guy. He is a good guy. And there's a lot of nice people out in that business, but they're stomped on, and they're
they shouldn't. You know what? They should fucking actually. You know what? They should unionize the other way.
Rebel.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, I've talked to Cersei about this. I was like, okay, so we know the problem. How do we fix it? Like, how do we fix it? He goes, you know what he said? He goes, there's just got to be a new Hollywood.
I don't know if it's the new Hollywood. It's just, you know what? Did you think like the fucking left, who's so great at organizing and coalescing? Do you think they were like, we'll just create a new America? No, they're like, we're just gonna fucking take over. That's what you fucking do. It's not about creating a new Hollywood. It's you go back and take that motherfucker.
Just take it.
Take that mother. And people like you, Terry, who have the fucking background, who facilitate fucking guerrilla operations, you get out there at the fucking front and you take that fucking bitch back. Yeah, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
I only have 2 years to live, so I
better make the fucking best of them, Terry. All right.
I kind of need you to fucking kind of back off a little bit, because I don't have a lot of time. I have a lot of health problems, and they're only gonna compound. So,
do you want to die a fucking hero? Or do you want to die on that fucking VA bed doing nothing?
I just want to die, man. I just want to die. Hey, man, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, I'm glad. We'll get the fuck out of here. Thanks, buddy. I'm gonna hit this end button. Hang on. Don't leave yet.
Goodbye.